What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 5HW Chapter 141 The Gun of Elbaf. Saren glanced at his fellow giants. The giants have innate strength advantages and longevity advantages. Every adult giant is a symbol of strength and strength. Even in the face of such a large-scale tsunami, it can only arouse them to fight. Passion. That's good. Let the people of this world see the mighty country that our giants call Elbaf's gun. The mighty country is used by one person, and Hikoku is used by two or more people, all from Elbaf. Elbaf's gun is a name for a powerful move. Saren finally withdrew his gaze, nodded, stood on the coast and started walking, raised his weapon, roared loudly, and faced the huge tsunami in front of him solemnly. More than 100 giant clans fought side by side, stretching thousands of meters wide, because the tsunami was too wide, and their task was to stop the tsunami from continuing, so the conditions of Hikoku were not used. At the same time, the other giant clans also all looked serious, facing the huge tsunami that rushed forward quickly. Just a few seconds, the huge tsunami was already close at hand at this moment. The closer the distance, the greater the pressure. Some of the smaller giants only felt that the sky and the earth were about to collapse, but after a glance at the compatriots next to them, they immediately cheered up. Saren took a deep breath, everyone looked at each other and didn't speak, but it seemed that a time had been agreed. The next moment, all the giants moved, and all raised their weapons together. Use all your strength. Powerful country. Sa Long shouted violently, and everyone roared, pouring all the strength into the weapon. A wave of terrifying coercion bloomed on everyone, and the air trembled with the surge of power, and then more than 100 shocks were sent from the weapons of the giant core, like invisible air cannons, crashing into the tsunami. Middle. Boom. Boom. Advertisement. Boom. Led by Saren, more than 100 huge holes were rushed out in the huge tsunami. As if it was hollowed out from the middle, the nearly 200-meter tsunami left a string of blank areas nearly 100 meters high. The seawater above quickly began to sink, and the height of the tsunami plummeted. When the tsunami landed, the tsunami that was nearly 200 meters high had already sunk by less than 100 meters. Moreover, the thickness of the tsunami was only a thin layer. It still slammed on the coast with the help of its spare strength, and then hit the giants, but it did not cause any damage. Wet all over. In Hokage Island, seeing the sea disappearing, the originally panicked samurai ninjas and the people were taken aback for a moment. The tsunami is gone. Everyone is in trouble. I didn't expect those big guys to actually do it. They stopped the 200-meter-high tsunami. Zuo Kanbai-shi saw the tsunami being knocked down, and he was also pleasantly surprised, but when he saw those samurai and ninjas who gave up their resistance, the complexion suddenly changed. Damn, don't listen. Resist. Kill those damn marines, and where's the Jonin? Why aren't any of those guys around? An intelligence officer came over and said to Zuo village. Everyone sat on the ground, looking at the tsunami that had disappeared in the distance, and muttered. Looking at the samurai ninjas who were losing ground and even turned into rebellion, Zuo Kun felt that he was about to vomit blood. He didn't even know what was going on. The other party's boat was leveled without hitting him, and he fooled a six-tails Jinchuriki over there, only to be bombarded by someone else. Advertisement. When Zuo Kanbai-shi heard his subordinate's answer, his face changed greatly. He never imagined that those ninjas would give up Hokage Island and escape by themselves. But they didn't know that, in addition to the Kingdom of Thunder, the other three major countries were also seeing this terrifying explosion for the first time. No one dared to stay here again, and they had no intention to pay attention to what would happen to Hokage Island in the future. All want to hurry back and report this terrible news in person. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. My Hokage Island. Although I don't know how they did it, at this moment, a kind of surprise after the catastrophe surged in everyone's heart. In comparison, the intelligence officers behind Zuo Kanbai were not too surprised. After all, they were all rebellious and forebearers. They came to Hokage Island to serve only for their own interests, and no one would really do it for Hokage. The island went to die, not to mention facing the natural and man-made disasters that he could not resist, which was already doomed. No one knows the reason for the explosion just now, but the spies of various countries finally know why the four major countries did not take action, and the follow-up is because of this mysterious explosive. Those warriors simply put down their weapons and felt the joy of surviving. They no longer had the slightest idea of resisting. The huge tsunami caused by the sudden explosion was blocked by the giants. They didn't know their own what's the point of resisting. It was obvious that Hokage Island couldn't stop the attack of these people. Thinking of the terrifying explosion on the sea at that time, he would bet that if it exploded on Hokage Island, their entire town would be crushed to the ground. Escaped? Those damn guys actually escaped. Sorry, Lord President, those rebels fled when the tsunami just appeared. Let's get out of here quickly. Zuo Kun let out a low voice. They obviously still have more than 10 Jonin and special Jonin rebels. Why haven't they appeared at this moment? The explosion that caused the tsunami just now also aroused the attention of the spies from various countries who were watching the battlefield. Everyone was terrified. Such an explosion can no longer be compared with ordinary ninjutsu. Even, only forbidden technique can be compared with just the power of that explosion is comparable. Chapter 142. Is there going to be a critique meeting? After another 3 days, all the spies from big and small countries quickly returned to China. There was an explosion in the scientific research center of Hongzhou Island. A violent explosion occurred outside Hongzhou Island and caused a tsunami. After that, there was the giant core of Kaden Island. I don't know what means to stop the tsunami. This series of news was quickly relayed back to China by spies from various countries, causing shocks in all countries. Because they also received news that where the explosion occurred, the target was not someone else, but Six Tails Jinchuriki. There are not many ninjas who can become Jinchuriki, and Yugo is one of them, Six Tails Jinchuriki, and can complete the tailed beast. Even in the face of cage level, he has the power to fight, but he was buried in the explosion. This country made people feel a little panic, especially the cage level of the villages in various countries, and immediately began to convene the strong people in the village to hold a parliament. At the same time, the 3 ships of the Country of Iron have also returned to the territory of the Country of Iron. He has learned a lot from Akira Yagiyu's Marine Academy, including various training techniques, various training methods to increase strength, and he himself has understood the Marine 6 Style 200 application skills, but temporarily I can't use it. I believe it should be able to be used after being proficient. Of course, after studying at Marine Academy for more than a week, Zephyr was in charge of the whole process, and he couldn't leave the academy for a moment, which also made him understand what Akira Yagiyu had done, but it was too late to regret, and he had no room for regret. After returning to the Country of Iron, he announced to the outside world according to Akira Yagiyu's request that Saburo Kitano was a spy he sent to the Country of Original Water to monitor the daimyofu of the Country of Water, but after the collapse of the Country of Water, he stayed in Kazakh. Tan Island began to steal all kinds of information on Carden Island, and announced to the countries that everything was brought back by Saburo Kitano, which immediately attracted the attention of all countries. Iron Country. I just said that there are so many swordsman masters under Yagiyu Lord, how can this guy not move? It turns out that there were undercover agents there early in the morning. In the land of fire and the land of thunder, this thought flashed in the hearts of all people. As for the so-called neutral country, AFBD, just not helping each other, it does not mean that there is really no desire and no desire. At the same time, 3 boats jumped at this time. To come out and give an explanation is to put themselves on the opposite side of Akira Yagiyu's world government, and they are not afraid of what the Iron Country can do to them. However, after learning the secret of Mifune, all countries immediately dispatched ninjas to closely monitor the general mansion of the Iron Kingdom. Here, a call from Mifune also reached Akira Yagiyu. Advertisement, reporting to your highness, as you expected, after I put everything on Kitano Ichiro's head, everyone no longer doubted me, and turned their attention to Kitano. Mifune quickly reported the current information on the general mansion of the Iron Kingdom to Akira Yagiyu, and now he also knows that the reason why Akira Yagiyu sent Kitano to him in exchange was to attract the attention of various countries, because Kitano used to be himself the reasons for the students, if they are willing to investigate, can still be found out, so that no one will doubt Mifune's explanation at all. In this way, he and Kitano have Akira Yagiyu's eyeliner at the same time. Because Kitano has attracted all the attention, Mifune himself is less likely to be suspected by others, and Kitano only needs to expose himself to the sight of those ninja spies from all over the world. In this way, Mifune's strength can be improved, and it is also the reason why they are all attributed to Kitano getting some secrets from Akira Yagiyu. With the neutral status of the Iron Country, no country would come over and force Mifune to hand over the secrets he knew, at least not for now. Ah, very good. Akira Yagiyu nodded after receiving Mifune's reply, everything is still under planning. But your highness, just recently, there was a message from the Land of Fire. They seem to be particularly afraid of you, and even deliberately said that a meeting of various countries will be held, and it is likely to cause inconvenience to you. After a pause, Mifune thought of the letters from the Land of Fire to various countries and immediately said, Ding. Triggering mission. Restless meeting. The mission requires to avoid provoking any war between nations. Advertisement. Task reward. Advanced World Recruitment Order 1. Glancing at the mission, Akira Yagiyu's heart moved, and his reputation must be reserved for recruiting General Marine. The Advanced World Recruiting Order is really good. I already know that. Their envelopes are still on my desk. Akira Yagiyu nodded again. He understood what Mifune meant, and the daimyo of the Land of Fire suddenly began to convene a meeting of leaders of various countries. It is to cause an oppression to oneself, to give oneself a slap in the face. Originally, the Land of Water and the Land of Fire should be the most profitable countries, but the rapid rise of Akira Yagiyu took the Land of Fire by surprise, so the Land of Fire planned to use other tools to carry out Akira Yagiyu's world government. Suppress. And it is very likely to make a big fuss about the Red State Island country and the crazy threat Akira Yagiyu has posed to countries before. Akira Yagiyu discussed with Crane for a long time. This is the most likely reason, of course. This does not mean that Akira Yagiyu is afraid of him. If you guessed correctly, Konoha should hope that you will preside over this conference. Akira Yagiyu thought for a moment, then continued. Yes, Your Highness, Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen of Konoha sent me a handwritten letter, hoping that I can preside over the meeting and join forces with countries of all sizes to hold a trial regarding your initiative to provoke war. On the other side, when Mifune heard Akira Yagiyu's words, he nodded immediately. Akira Yagiyu expected everything to be good, which surprised him. Akira Yagiyu didn't want to be so old. Of course, Crane helped Akira Yagyu to analyze it. As Marine's chief staff officer, Crane could immediately see the key to some issues. Chapter 143 Meeting Site Selection 1 Holy Land. After sighing, Mifune faced the phone bug again. Huh? So do you want to attend this meeting, Your Highness? After a pause, after recalling Akira Yagyu's tone, Mifune asked aloud. If it was really aimed at Akira Yagyu, he could not participate at all, and there was no way to make those guys dry. Participate? Why not? It just so happens that since it is you who presides over the meeting, then you can directly set the location in the Holy Land. Akira Yagyu's answer was beyond Mifune's thoughts. He did not hesitate to ask Mifune to set the meeting place on the main island of the Land of Original Water, which is now the holy place of the world government. Set it in the Holy Land? Mifune was stunned when she heard Akira Yagyu's words, then she looked a little embarrassed, and said her concerns. Your Highness. If this meeting is set in the Holy Land, then other countries will be very worried. Is it possible that you will simply refuse to participate? As soon as Mikawa finished speaking, Akira Yagyu immediately shook his head. They will go. They will definitely go, because they don't want to miss any opportunity to squeeze my side. Akira Yagyu said with a smile. They all want to see themselves submissive and give up their secrets, and this secret may be the key for any country to make its country overpower other countries, and no one wants to miss it. His Royal Highness said that I will reply to the various countries according to your instructions. When Mifune heard Akira Yagyu's words, he suddenly shuddered. His expression became serious in the next moment, and he hurriedly said in a loud voice. At the same time, he picked up a pen and paper and started copying in various countries. His Royal Highness, the Martial Arts Conference is approaching, and it is very likely that cage-level characters from all villages will come. If it is not handled properly, it may even cause a fight in the Holy Land, and we old guys can't all leave Kaden Island, so. After Akira Yagyu hung up the phone notification, Hajien next to him thought for a while, and then said to Akira Yagyu. Keep recruiting. Lu Shiming nodded. Your Highness will follow your orders. Don't worry, isn't this Hancock and Momosagi? Although they are women, you shouldn't underestimate the two of them, Vice Admiral. Advertisement. Akira Yagyu smiled, and suddenly pointed to the two behind her who had been quiet for a while. Hearing Akira Yagyu suddenly mentioning themselves, Hancock and Momosagi raised their heads sharply. Cough, but I forgot about it. Crane smiled. One of them was Shichibukai and the other was Admiral. They were both characters used to check and balance the four emperors. Especially Hancock also had Conqueror's Haki. To deal with people who didn't have Haki, as long as the strengths of the two sides were not too different, that no one will be her opponent. Glancing at Momosagi and Hancock again, the Crane stopped speaking, but Akira Yagyu recalled what the Crane had just said, and felt that it was reasonable, but the masters were not recruited by themselves, so they could only use the newly captured Red State. I tried the prestige of the Island Country and the Star Country. Damn, that guy from Mifune actually set the meeting place in the Holy Land of the World Government. What the hell is he doing? After receiving the news from Mikawa, the daimyo and leaders of various countries or cage level immediately changed their expressions and slapped Mifune's handwritten letter on the table heavily. Especially Sarutobi Hiruzen, he felt that since the rise of Akira Yagyu, he himself seemed to be targeted everywhere. Danzo died and Orochimaru ran away. Originally, it was hard to say the name of the country of fire and suppress the world government. Arrange the meeting place in a holy place, joking, and go inside people's houses to threaten people? Lord Hokage, maybe it's because the Iron Country is afraid of Akira Yagyu's revenge after revealing that the undercover agent is under the Lord's hands, so he is making up for it, so that all parties are not offended. Opposite Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya expressed his opinion. Instead, he felt that Mifune should do it. If he offended Akira Yagyu on one side, but also offended the other side to death, it would be too fake. There is nothing wrong with doing it, but it is a bit difficult for countries to do. 0. Ask for flowers. Although it is the holy place of the Akira Yagyu world government, it is not the base camp of Akira Yagyu. It was set up to accept all the countries that joined the world government. Although the army advocated above is strong, it is not as strict as Kaden Island. The meeting location is here. It seems that it has already given the face of all countries. What do you think we should do? Your Excellency Daimei will definitely not agree to the past. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face quickly calmed down, looked at Jiraiya, and asked softly. Advertisement, then Your Excellency the daimyo authorizes you to go instead of him. It just so happens that the martial arts conference that Akira Yagyu said at the beginning is coming, and young geniuses from various countries must go there. You can also protect the geniuses of Konoha by the way, that op fruit, judging from the reactions of various countries, we absolutely cannot miss it. .00 Jiraiya thought for a moment, then said with a chuckle. Taking a deep look at Jiraiya, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that this kid was looking for Orochimaru's trace. If he hadn't been watching him, he would have gone to Carton Island by himself. Then follow your method, but you must go with me. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, took a puff of his pipe, and continued. What? Jiraiya was stunned. He didn't expect Sarutobi Hiruzen to take him with him. He originally thought that after the third generation went to the Holy Land, he secretly went to Kaden Island to find Orochimaru. Put away your little thought. I know you want to find Orochimaru. Do you know where he is? No matter where he is, you must not go to Carton Island. Sarutobi Hiruzen directly pierced Jiraiya's thoughts and said in a deep voice, not giving Jiraiya any chance to explain herself. Okay. With a sigh, Jiraiya also knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen was afraid that he would never return, so he sighed and could only agree, and he had to figure out a way in the future. Factory. Chapter 144. Third Reikage and Luosha Holy Place. At this moment, waves of seawater continued to slap the shore of the Holy Land, and outside the port on the coast, there were already countless boats waiting in line, ready to go ashore and enter the Holy Land. Akira Yagyu recently placed 200,000 Marines in the Holy Land, and even half of the generals were taken away by Akira Yagyu. Oops, what's the situation today? It seems that ships from other countries have been coming over recently. What happened? There are so many Marines and generals. The residents of the Holy Land didn't know what happened here for the time being. Looking at the heavily guarded Marine and the noble ministers who were eager to get to the shore, they immediately asked in surprise. Hey, you don't know that? His Highness Yagyu announced a month ago that the Martial Arts Conference of 2000 was about to start, and it has been a busy month. These people should all come to participate in the Martial Arts Conference. Hearing the residents' question, a noble from the Ocean Kingdom who had just landed and disembarked immediately said with a smile. What martial arts conference? Just kidding. I thought His Highness Yagyu was just joking, but I didn't expect it to be true. Isn't it just a martial arts competition? Why do so many countries come here? The country, even people from the country of the earth and the country of the wind have come. Everyone expressed disbelief. They didn't understand what reward Akira Yagyu had come up with that could tempt people from so many countries to come and participate. Looking at the bustling aristocratic crowd, they were all incredulous. In their opinion, these people may be crazy, especially the people from the land of the land and the land of the wind, who are so far apart, they will send people over. Don't believe it, just yesterday I saw even a lot of ninja guards appearing. There must be some great people. Really? Forget it, the words of the adults are not something we can figure out. Let's do our own thing honestly. Since His Royal Highness Yagyu took office, I found that the nobles in the city did not dare to oppress the ordinary people, and even the usual bullies and bandits dare not show their faces. Advertisement, yeah, it's really strange. It is said that once there is turmoil in every country, there will be riots everywhere, and everyone will come out. It's incredible that no one dares to riot when His Highness Yagyu takes office. At this moment, the Marine next to him heard the size of these people and laughed secretly in his heart. There is no riot, but once the riot occurs, it will be suppressed by the Marines in various places with thunder. Some people dare to rebel. The voices of a group of people are constantly reaching the ears of the nobles of various countries, especially those members of the world government member countries. When they hear the people's yearning for His Highness Yagyu, they are very excited, and they also bring various kinds of their own countries. Genius, I hope to win the first prize in this martial arts conference. Of course, this is only the hope in the hearts of each country, and the main thing is to get the attention of Akira Yagyu. If anyone can be instructed by Akira Yagyu, then their country may be able to flourish in the future. Your Highness. The Kizaru of Sanagakure, the land of wind, the Tsuchikage of Iwagakure, the land of earth, the movie of Cloud Shinobi Village, the land of thunder, and the Hokage of Konoha, the land of fire, have all arrived at the Holy Land and stayed there. Also, I don't know why the daimyo of each country did not appear. Inside the Marine base building, Akira Yagyu received a call from Whispering Rat, who was temporarily assigned to guard the Holy Land. Okay, I see, I'll go there tomorrow. You should pay attention to the security work over there. Remember not to let a few cage levels in the ninja village do anything casually. Akira Yagyu nodded, then commanded softly. Yes, Your Highness, I understand. Whisper Mouse gave a serious nod, then hung up the phone and continued to go out on patrol with the people. Although the martial arts conference is still 2 days away, young talents from all over the world have already arrived ahead of schedule, and they are all gearing up. People from some countries have also visited the heavily guarded martial arts conference venue in advance, hoping to get acquainted with them first. Combat terrain. Advertisement. Everyone doesn't know whether the ability of Op Fruit that Akira Yagyu said before is true or not, but according to the reactions of several major countries, no one dares to underestimate that thing. Especially the Kingdom of Wind and Kingdom of Thunder, they put too much importance on the performance of Op Fruit, so that the Kingdom of Earth and Kingdom of Fire did not dare to take it lightly, and had to call out the top talents of all ethnic groups in the village. However, I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, the temporary accommodation areas for the visitors from several major countries were all arranged together. 4th Kizaru Luosha who came out and was about to go out. When 3rd Reikage and Luosha saw each other at the same time, they were both stunned for a moment, and then the expressions of both of them quickly turned ugly. Mouth. When the two looked at each other, the atmosphere immediately became weird, the air shook, chakra was quickly mobilized, everyone was startled, and when they glanced at each other, they dispersed in panic. At the same time, everyone is also puzzled, they don't understand why there is a conflict between the two countries in 1.3, which are so far apart, and it seems that Luosha killed Reikage's people. The faces of the surrounding Fire Nation and Earth Nation were even more bizarre, looking at 3rd Reikage and 4th Kizaru curiously. Luosha. 3rd Reikage almost called out Luosha's name through gritted teeth, his eyes were full of anger, and he wished he could punch him now. Luosha looked at 3rd Reikage, and Wei Wei was also a little apprehensive, secretly scolding herself why she came out at this time. After all, 3rd Reikage has been famous since the end of World War II. At the beginning, he personally led people to destroy the Golden Horn and the Silver Horn, and his strength was naturally extraordinary. With his current strength, if he was in the Land of Wind, it would be okay to say, but on this island surrounded by the sea, it would be really tricky. Chapter 145 Hard Jiao Reikage. The two faced each other, and their eyes kept colliding with sparks. People from each country were arranged to live in a small 3-story building. The street was outside. The collision between the two attracted a lot of people, and the street became more lively. Stand up. Hee. Seeing Luo Sha's fearful appearance, Third Reikage sneered coldly. A slight current swept across his body, and looked at Luo Sha with disdain in his eyes. The Kingdom of Thunder itself focuses on the development of the military and military industry. It is ahead of the war power of various countries, and Jinchuriki, the two-tailed beasts, has been able to perfectly control all beasts, which means that the strength of the Kingdom of Thunder is already unprecedentedly strong. A proud capital. Damn. Luo Sha frowned, looking at Third Reikage's posture, knowing that this fight was a must, and at the same time began to prepare to gather chakra. Sorry, you too, fighting is forbidden in the Holy Land, or you will be expelled. At this time, Whisper Mouse, who happened to be patrolling nearby, also felt the fluctuations here for the first time, and brought people over. Seeing that the two were about to make a move, they immediately stopped. Seeing Marine's appearance, Third Reikage frowned. Originally, he didn't intend to start a fight, but when he saw Luo Sha, he couldn't hold back the anger in his heart. He's here today, let alone a holy place. Even if this is in the country of wind, he must teach this guy a lesson. You retreat. This is my personal grievance with this guy. I don't want to hurt you by mistake. After this guy is dealt with, I won't be fighting with others. Third Reikage's face was very ugly. In his opinion, he must fight this Luo Sha. I'll say it again, this is a holy place for the world government. No one is allowed to fight here, or they will be expelled forever. Looking at Third Reikage, Linmo also said with a heavy expression on his face, even though the other party was also a shadow of Yunrock Village, but Wushu did not weaken the other party's momentum in the slightest. The people around were startled when they heard the words of repelling the mouse. They had to know that it was a movie from Cloud Shinobi Village. Is this guy looking for death? How dare you talk to the movie adults like this? Advertisement. After hearing the words of the mouse, many people secretly said. Third Reikage's face also sank suddenly, his eyes widened and he glared at Whisper Mouse. He was already angry enough to see Luo Sha, but he never thought that a general under Akira Yagiyu's command would dare to talk to him like this. Do you really think that I dare not do anything here? Third Reikage said in a cold voice, making it sound like falling into the 10,000 years ice cave. Some young people from small countries looked at Third Reikage and only felt frightened. But the next moment, Third Reikage's face changed immediately, his eyes widened, his original anger turned into surprise, then shock, complexity, and finally calm again. Since you say so, then I will give His Highness Yagiyu a face. Luo Sha, don't let me meet you outside the Holy Land. Third Reikage finally nodded, but he actually compromised, seeing Luo Sha still speaking in an icy voice. Then with a cold snort, he took the person to the distance, and the ninjas from other countries who were planning to watch the play quickly let open an aisle. Wow, what happened? Reikage actually compromised. Why? When Third Reikage walked away, everyone was in an uproar, and Third Reikage suddenly compromised, which made everyone unacceptable. The people around were puzzled. They didn't understand why Third Reikage suddenly changed so fast, and they didn't know what the mouse did to make him change so because of fear. Many thanks to this general, Your Excellency, for rescuing the siege. In the future, I will go to Carden Island in person to thank His Highness Yagiyu. Luo Sha was relieved to see Third Reikage leave, and then looked at Whispering Mouse in surprise and thanked him. If it wasn't for Op Fruit, he would not have come here. However, since it was stipulated that no action could be taken within the Holy Land, then he didn't have to worry about Lei Ying's trouble to find him again. Advertisement. Your Excellency Feng Ying is polite. This is the rule of the Holy Land. No one can violate it, we just act with integrity. The language mouse shook his head and then said in a serious tone. Hearing Whisper Mouse's answer, Luo Sha smiled and didn't care, and took the person to the other direction of third generation Lei. What happened here was quickly reported back, and everyone knew that Third Reikage had compromised with Akira Yagiyu's army, and the countries immediately issued an order that no one should stir up trouble in the Holy Land. Lord Reikage, why did you suddenly give up? Obviously you could just kill that dead Cage, and those marines didn't do anything. After 200 years after Third Reikage came out, a young man next to him asked Third Reikage curiously. No, it's not that nothing was done, it's that none of us know what they did. Third Reikage shook his head and said something inexplicable, which made the young man a little confused. Looking at the young man beside him, Third Reikage fell silent. For some reason, it was as if he had fallen into an endless swamp just now. All his movements were restricted. If you just insisted on doing it, it is very likely that you will not even be able to release ninjutsu. Thinking of the scene just now, Third Reikage's face was a little ugly, and the feeling of helplessness made him even more unable to understand how Akira Yagiyu did it. If it was ninjutsu, he must be able to feel it, but he didn't know how to do it, not sure what exactly happened. On the other side, the people around looked at the Whisper Mouse in amazement, while the Whisper Mouse left with the same expression. After walking out of the crowd, Expelling Mouse glanced at the short man next to him. Then Yumo retracted his gaze and asked lightly. Did you just shoot? Chapter 146 Slave Arrow. The man next to Zuoshu, who was not tall, immediately laughed when he heard Yushu's question. Hey, if I didn't do it, you would have been shot to death by the guy just now. It was the same guy who was watching the fourth cage just now, not noticing my slow wave of light. Foxy smiled, grabbed his hands, and didn't hide anything. The Silver Fox Foxy's slow fruit ability is the pirate that Akira Yagyu recruited with his reputation after following the advice of the Crane Vice Admiral. Akira Yagyu used 3,000 reputation points to recruit 3 high-level Sea World recruiting orders. Among the 3 recruited, one of them was the Silver Fox Foxy. Just now, Third Raikage really meant to be a strong player, but Yinhu had already released a slow wave of light to him in advance. Third Raikage felt that it was too late when all his movements became slow. Unless Yinhu was released, the speed can't be picked up at all. Even if someone slashed him with a knife, he couldn't react in time. At the same time, on the street just now, in a 3-story attic following the Kingdom of Thunder, Sarutobi Hiruzen returned to his seat from the window, his expression turned into an unprecedented dignified expression. It seems that I still underestimated that Akira Yagyu, who was able to compromise the Third Raikage guy. Now his strength and ability have exceeded my expectations. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was sullen, and he thought to himself. What made him even more irritable was that Mifune had put the joint meeting of the countries after the martial arts conference. For some reason, he always felt that it was time. Ninjas and nobles from various villages in various countries have successively arrived at the Holy Land of World Government, and it is the first time that the residents of the Holy Land have seen so many nobles come here. For a while. Early the next morning, Akira Yagyu left Kaden Island by boat. The main ship was in the center. Akira Yagyu's main ship was surrounded by 11 escorts. There were also several thousand-meter Sea Kings escorting the frigate. His Royal Highness, we are about to arrive at the Holy Land, and we can prepare for it, friend. Seeing that the holy place in front of him appeared on the sea and kept zooming in, Momosuke put down the observation glass and immediately reported. Are the arrangements ready? Advertisement. Akira Yagyu squinted his eyes in the sunlight, yawned and asked softly. His Royal Highness, the dedicated port in the southeast of the Holy Land has been opened, and no one will disturb it there. Hancock peeled an orange from the side and put it to the mouth of Akira Yagyu, who was lying on the chair, while whispering. That's good. Akira Yagyu nodded, biting the orange with his mouth open, squinting his eyes, as if thinking about something. The port to the southeast of the Holy Land was prepared for Akira Yagyu and his army. The entry of Akira Yagyu's fleet into the port attracted the attention of many nobles who were still queuing to enter the port. They immediately guessed that it was Akira Yagyu's fleet, and they were immediately excited. I wanted to be as brave as Akira Yagyu in the past, but was stopped by Marine. Akira Yagyu had just stepped off the ship, and more than a dozen Marine generals headed by Whisper Mouse were already standing below. Meet Your Highness. Your Highness, the sedan cage has been prepared for you. All Marine and Marine generals saluted Akira Yagyu together, and then Whispering Rat stepped forward and ordered someone to point out a 2-meter-wide sedan cage. Kindness. In response, Akira Yagyu took Hancock and Momosuke into the sedan cage, which was covered with several layers of gauze to keep the air clear and to block people's sight. Although Akira Yagyu asked the Marines to try not to attract the attention of interested people, but now there are too many people in the Holy Land, every street and alley is very lively, with so many Marine generals guarding a sedan cage, it is inevitable that no one will pay attention. They all began to guess who was sitting inside. However, with so many people guarding, and the fact that various countries have requested in advance to prohibit fighting in the Holy Land, none of them dared to rush in the way. The people in the original daimyo mansion have been dismissed, and now they have all been replaced by Akira Yagyu people, and even the interior structure has been changed to be similar to the Lord's mansion on Kaden Island. Under the man's gaze, Akira Yagyu stepped down from the sedan cage. Advertisement. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Along the way, no one stood in the way, but outside the mansion, someone caught Akira Yagyu's attention. Looking at Akira Yagyu, although Jiraiya has seen Akira Yagyu's portrait, she still feels that Yagyu is much younger than she thought, raised her brows and asked aloud. When Jiraiya looked at Hancock's appearance, she was a little fortunate, but when she noticed that Hancock actually shot a pink heart at herself, she was even more deeply involved. Does your highness want to kill that person? Kizaru put his hands in kabuto, approached the cage niche, and asked in a low voice. Jiraiya stared blankly at Hancock and murmured. Especially the moment Hancock came down, Jiraiya's eyes straightened, he bet she was definitely the most beautiful woman he had ever seen in his life, the only calmness made Jiraiya's mouth clenched tightly to keep the saliva from flowing out. Akira Yagyu observation Haki kept targeting the man and waved his hand. No, stop, satyr. Interesting, your excellency should be your highness Yagyu. Looking at Jiraiya's appearance, Hancock's face was furious, and his jade hand instantly raised, tapped on the pink lips, and instantly raised a huge pink love right. The arrival of the sedan cage caught the attention of the white-haired man at the door, who immediately turned his gaze over, and flashed away, instantly appearing in front of the sedan cage. But as soon as he finished speaking, Momosuke and Hancock who came down behind Akira Yagyu immediately attracted all the attention. Slave arrow. Well, the people of His Royal Highness Yagyu are too direct. Chapter 147 Jiraiya's Nemesis. I saw that with Hancock's coquettish cry, the red heart turned into an arrow. Hancock pulled the arrow in front of him, as if he had created a longbow out of thin air, and shot the arrow quickly. It's so exciting. Seeing the red heart arrow shot towards him, Jiraiya's face was red, and he was still addicted to it and couldn't extricate himself, still muttering in his mouth. The red heart hit Jiraiya's chest, and the next moment Jiraiya's face changed instantly. What? Jiraiya immediately felt that the place where he was shot by the red heart was petrified quickly, making him look like he had seen a ghost in an instant. I advise you not to move around. The petrified part is broken, which means that your body will also be broken. Momosuke looked at Jiraiya flatly, and said a word. What? Jiraiya was stunned, and immediately looked forward in surprise, and now looking at Hancock again, Jiraiya would still be hooked, but then remembered that his body was still petrifying, and suddenly reacted again, returning to a horrified expression again. Soon, the petrochemical has spread to Jiraiya's shoulders, although trying to stop it with chakra is of no avail, at most it can only delay the speed of the petrochemical. 203 inches Your Highness Yagyu, I have no ill will. In shock, Jiraiya hurriedly shouted loudly. As Jiraiya's voice fell, the whole person had completely turned into a stone statue. Help him relieve it, and ask him what he wants to do. Akira Yagyu gave Jiraiya a surprised look and waved. Hancock next to him heard Akira Yagyu's words, glanced at his mouth, and changed Jiraiya back. What? Withdrew from the stone again. Jiraiya was completely blinded, looking at the few people in front of him, he couldn't speak what he had experienced. Advertisement. No, it's too scary just now. Jiraiya kept mumbling, staring blankly ahead. Mr. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? Looking at Jiraiya's terrified appearance, Akira Yagyu asked curiously. Forehead. Hearing Akira Yagyu's question, Jiraiya reacted, his eyes circled over several people, and finally fell on Akira Yagyu. He didn't dare to look at Hancock anymore. His Royal Highness Yagyu, I came here to ask Your Highness Yagyu, is Orochimaru with you? Jiraiya's face quickly calmed down and looked at Akira Yagyu and asked solemnly. That's right, he's in my research room now. You Konoha don't like people doing scientific research, so you can't and don't allow me to let him do it. Akira Yagyu didn't deny it, just said softly with a faint smile. Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, Jiraiya's face sank. He knew what Akira Yagyu meant because Lord Third Hokage suspected that Orochimaru was secretly conducting human experiments. If this is the case, it means that Akira Yagyu is also doing human biological research. That's right. Of course I didn't mean that. It's just that Orochimaru is now our Konoha's rebel, and he has mastered many of Konoha's secrets. In the future, His Highness Yagyu will try to reduce his appearance in the world government. Jiraiya immediately smiled and said, everyone knows that Orochimaru may have escaped to Akira Yagyu's side when he became a rebel, but if Akira Yagyu openly brings Orochimaru out at that time, it will embarrass Konoha. As this kind of thing, When Akira Yagyu heard Jiraiya's words, he glanced at the other party meaningfully, smiled, and walked into the mansion. That woman. Seeing Akira Yagyu's back disappearing into the mansion, Jiraiya's expression also changed. He originally planned to go to Kaden Island to find Orochimaru, but after what happened just now, he directly dismissed his AFBD thoughts. A bunch of weird people. With a sigh, Jiraiya turned to leave. In his opinion, perhaps only such a person could make Orochimaru's allegiance. Advertisement. After returning to Konoha's temporary residence, Jiraiya told Sarutobi Hiruzen. After pondering, Sarutobi Hiruzen is still unable to determine how many secrets Akira Yagyu still has. His Royal Highness, the person just now is likely to become an enemy in the future, why not let us kill him directly? Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. That's right, listen to what the other party says. Once it's turned into a stone, if it is destroyed again, the person who turned into a stone will also suffer the same damage. Akira Yagyu shook his head and did not explain. Judging from his performance just now, Jiraiya should not be a threat to himself, not to mention that the martial arts conference is about to start, and there is a world summit to follow. If he really does something to Jiraiya, 3 if the person folds 2 in his own hands, I am afraid that the old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen will declare war on the world government immediately. Akira Yagyu is not afraid of the opponent declaring war. Rubbing her head, Jiraiya blushed and said embarrassedly, the woman beside Akira Yagyu is really terrifying, it affects her mentality, her eyes are always attracted involuntarily. Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression changed when he heard Jiraiya's report. Kindness. Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen, after hesitating for a while, Jiraiya suddenly said. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned and looked at Jiraiya suspiciously, it was the first time he had met Jiraiya like this. Controlling sand, strong physical skills, and the ability to turn people into stone, there are too many secrets under Akira Yagyu's hands. It's true. It's been turned into a stone and destroyed, and there must be no way to change it back. Well, if you really want to fight Akira Yagyu one day in the future, please don't let me participate. Jiraiya nodded, and the scene where Momosuke didn't let herself struggle rang out. You said that the other party has a secret technique that can turn the enemy into stone, and even you can't avoid it. Sarutobi nodded thoughtfully again. Even if Jiraiya didn't say it, he could roughly guess the result after the stone was destroyed. Also, Lord Hokage, I have an unkind request. Back at the mansion, Momoshiki and Hancock immediately looked at Akira Yagyu in confusion and asked. Advertisement Chapter 148 The Martial Arts Conference is open. Finally, a day passed in an instant, and the martial arts conference finally ushered in the opening day. Everyone in the Holy Land was gathering at the venue of the martial arts conference. The venue of the martial arts conference is a place the size of a football field, a bit like the Colosseum. It is surrounded by stands, and there is a round platform that is 2 meters high and has a diameter of 100 meters. Behind the round table is a panel with a length and width of 100 meters. A huge screen is assembled by dozens of video phone bugs, and every corner of the entire round table can be clearly seen. The huge venue, large enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people, was packed, and Akira Yagyu ordered Marine to set up a huge projection on the central plaza of the Holy Land City for viewing. Everyone entered the venue, and the lively venue suddenly became quiet as 3 figures appeared in the sky. Look, there is someone in the sky. Is it a fairy? What immortal? Looks like His Highness Yagyu. His Royal Highness Yagyu. Really His Highness Yagyu. Wow, who are the 2 girls next to him? They are so beautiful. My god, they are really fairies, goddesses. The people of the Holy Land and the dignitaries of the member states of the world government saw the figure of Akira Yagyu floating down in the air, and they exclaimed one by one, seeing Hancock and Momoshiki falling down beside Akira Yagyu. His face was always red, and he was drooling wildly. Bah! The 3 Akira Yagyu were like feathers, and their feet landed on the ground one after another, making the people in the stand startled one by one. His Royal Highness Yagyu. Advertisement. His Royal Highness Yagyu. Standing on the battle stage, Akira Yagyu's figure was cast on the huge screen behind and in the central square. Everyone was shocked by Akira Yagyu's skills, and everyone exclaimed. You must know that the entire martial arts venue is more than 100 meters high, and Akira Yagyu was able to easily descend from the top and land safely, which shocked many people. Of course, many people's eyes were fixed on Hancock, unable to extricate himself. Welcome to my world government Holy Land, the site of the martial arts conference. Akira Yagyu glanced at the crowded figures in the surrounding stands, smiled, and said gently. The voice was mixed with hockey, and it was easily passed into everyone's ears. Although the voice was soft and weak, it is very shocking to people's ears. What happened? How did he do it? Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, every word seemed to fall heavily into his heart, and the ninjas watching around were all surprised. Jiraiya also said something strange to himself, not daring him to look on the stage, for fear that he would also will lose his temper again because of Hancock's figure. When the people heard Akira Yagyu's words, they were even more shocked, suppressed their excitement one by one, and waited quietly for Akira Yagyu. On behalf of the world government, I sincerely invite talented talents under the age of 20 from all walks of life to participate in the martial arts conference. The top 10 talents can unconditionally enter the Marine Academy of our headquarters to practice cultivation. The winner of the first place will receive the highest reward op fruit. With it, even ordinary people can become gods. Because treasures are really special, only top geniuses can exert their true power, so my world government will be the giant of this martial arts. General Assembly. Akira Yagyu's voice became louder and louder, as if it was stirring people's hearts. Listening to the reward given by Akira Yagyu, everyone's breathing became heavier, especially the nobles of the surrounding small countries. If they could enter the Akira Yagyu headquarters, the practice of Marine College means that you can get in touch with the world and the more core secrets of the government and Marine, which is a fatal temptation for any developing country. His Royal Highness Yagyu. His Royal Highness Yagyu. The atmosphere that had just calmed down was ignited again, and everyone, including the nobles, was shouting with all their strength. Now, I announce, the Budo tournament officially begins. Looking at the excited people, Akira Yagyu smiled, said a word, and disappeared on the battle stage. Advertisement. 0. Ask for flowers. The competition of this martial arts conference is destined to be a chapter in the annals of history, and it is also the first time in history that ordinary people can see the confrontation between genius ninjas and taijutsu experts from various countries. After Akira Yagyu left the venue, he came to a huge room in which cage levels of various countries, daimyo and leaders of a country were all sitting in it. When those people saw the arrival of Akira Yagyu, everyone's eyes gathered, and the country of the ocean and the country of the lake immediately waved to Akira Yagyu excitedly when they saw Akira Yagyu. When I saw Momoshiki and Hancock, they were all dumbfounded, so Hancock didn't show the charm of the sweet fruit, otherwise the audience would really be the same as those ordinary people. Point 0. Akira Yagyu swept his eyes and felt amused immediately. All the members of the world government sat together, leaving Akira Yagyu a seat at the front of the table, while the other big countries also followed behind a small country. The long rectangular table was large, but only a few people sat, among which, to Akira Yagyu's surprise, even Yahiko was among them. In front of the table is a white wall, and there is a phone bug on the table, which is projecting the situation on the battle stage of the venue. Everyone except the member countries of the world government looked at the picture and the strange snail on the table. His Royal Highness Yagyu, we meet again. Seeing Akira Yagyu, Yahiko smiled and greeted Akira Yagyu, which immediately caught the attention of the surrounding cage levels. Shao can be said to be a new force. There are not many members in it, but they are all powerful. I didn't expect that Akira's leader would meet Akira Yagyu, which made the face of a man wearing a mask beside Yahiko a little weird. When greeting Yahiko, Akira Yagyu also smiled and nodded. Since no one was angry because he seriously injured him, he certainly wouldn't feel sorry for himself. Factory. Thank you for reading this story. Chapter 149 World Government Kaku. Facing everyone's gaze, Akira Yagyu didn't say anything, just sat down. Your Excellency Yagyu, would it be a bit rude to let so many people watch the game? After all, geniuses have their own cards. Glancing at Yahiko and Akira Yagyu, Third Raikage frowned and said, looking at the structure of the martial arts tournament, if the competition starts, then the secrets of the ninjutsu of those geniuses may be leaked. Whole card. If you can get Op Fruit, then Op Fruit's ability is enough to become anyone's whole card. Your so-called whole card is not worth mentioning at all. Hearing Third Raikage's words, Akira Yagyu chuckled softly, and then said lightly, ignoring Third Raikage's changing face. When everyone heard the words of 23, Akira Yagyu, their faces became even more weird, and they secretly wondered what the origin of this Op Fruit was and why they had never heard of it. His Royal Highness Yagyu is right. If you, the Kingdom of Thunder, feel that your secret moves are not suitable to be displayed in front of people, then you should go back first. It would be best if you could give me Op Fruit. Luo Sha looked at Third Raikage's face a little ugly. Of course he would not miss such a good opportunity to ridicule. He was blocked at the door by this guy before, but now he can finally make a few words. You guy. Hearing Luo Sha's words, Third Raikage's face sank. He was really blown away by this guy's lungs. He snorted coldly, and stopped talking. Everyone has already brought it. Should he give up Op Fruit? Possible. Stop talking. Look at the projection. The list of contestants will be announced. The land of Earth Tsuchikage can be said to be the oldest in the audience. Since he is the land between the land of wind and the land of thunder, if the two guys really hate each other, he expresses a lot of pressure. Hearing the words of Onogi from Third Tsuchikage in the land of Earth for 2 days, Luo Sha stopped talking, and everyone stared at the screen projected by the influencer bug. At this moment, the person presiding over this martial arts tournament was personally monitoring by Kizaru, who was holding a page of paper with the names of the contestants and the countries they belong to. Then, Admiral Kizaru, under the command of His Highness Akira Yagyu, will announce today's entrance. Advertisement. Kizaru glanced at the nobles and people in the surrounding stands, picked up the paper and read it. A lot of people. Don't miss it. Forget about the first 2 people. Kizaru seemed to have just received the list of contestants, and frowned and muttered, but his muttering sounded through the loudspeaker and spread throughout the audience. The audience in the entire Holy Land heard Kizaru's plans, all of them were full of black lines. They did not expect that His Highness Akira Yagyu would send such an unreliable guy as the supervisor of this competition. The first combatant is the 19-year-old samurai Takakawa Zura of the Iron Country against the 20-year-old Kaku of the world government. Kizaru didn't care about the resentful eyes of those people, and really read the names of the 2 people on his own. General Marine of the world government. How come even the people of His Royal Highness Yagyu participated? That's right, the Op Fruit is in the hands of His Highness Yagyu. He can keep it for himself. Could it be that His Highness Yagyu is really selecting geniuses? Only geniuses can exert the ability of Op Fruit. Hearing Kizaru read that there was actually General Marine, they immediately began to disagree, and then someone guessed, and after hearing the explanation, everyone immediately admired Akira Yagyu even more. In the huge hall, many people also frowned when they heard that there were people from Akira Yagyu participating in the competition, and then quickly stretched out and continued to watch the projection. Originally, they doubted whether Akira Yagyu used it. Seems unlikely that any Op Fruit will set them up. Everyone looked at Akira Yagyu subconsciously, and found that he was looking at the projection in front of him calmly, without saying a word or explaining anything. How can Akira Yagyu not know what these people are thinking? He just wants to let Marine's people participate, although Kaku's age is actually over, but only 1 or 2 years old, he doesn't say who knows 0. 1 is to dispel the concerns of these people. In addition, if someone in Marine is really talented enough to win the Op Fruit, it would be even better, and it also saves him having to relinquish the Op Fruit. Find a way to get people back. Game start. Kizaru glanced at the 2 of them, nodded, and said something. Advertisement. I heard that the generals under His Royal Highness World Government Yagyu are all very physically fit, so let me know. The warrior from the Iron Country looked at Kaku and said lightly, then pulled out the long knife from his waist and held it in both hands. His expression immediately became solemn and serious. The long knife was tightly held by him, and he did not attack yet. It is enough to make people guess how terrifying the strength of his sword will be if it cuts. This is what Mifune of the Iron Country Admiral Army often teaches the Iron Country samurai, and any battle must be prepared. Do not. What? As soon as Wu Xuanzang finished speaking, he only felt a cool breeze swept in front of him, and in a flash, Kaku had appeared in front of him with his legs raised. What? Xuanzang stared, looking at Kaku, who suddenly appeared in front of him, was a little sluggish, and saw that the leg was getting bigger and bigger in his line of sight. Boom. There was a muffled sound on the stage, and the audience did not react, and found that Wuchuan Zhanghai had already flown out of the field. The game is over. World government, Kaku wins. A whistle sounded, followed by Kizaru's voice, which spread through the loudspeaker. Forehead. What happened? What just happened? Most of the people in the surrounding stands were ordinary people. They all looked sluggish, and they didn't understand what was going on. However, the real ninjas and other top warriors were all very solemn, and most of them could only understand. Barely capturing Kaku's movements, if it was them, they couldn't guarantee that they would be able to dodge or resist. Chapter 150 Participation in Violation of Regulations. At this moment, in the conference halls of various countries. With a bang, Mifune of the Iron Country immediately stood up from his seat and looked very surprised when his disciple was actually defeated. Glancing at the crowd, Mikasa's eyes finally fell on Akira Yagyu. Their eyes met for a moment, and then they immediately sat down again. In the eyes of others, it was as if they were suffering and could not tell. The surroundings then fell into silence, and the daimyo from various countries looked curiously at the surrounding cage level and the solemn eyes of the leaders of all parties. The speed is already comparable to the Jonin level of taijutsu. The surrounding four shadows and the leaders of various countries, recalling that Kaku's speed just made them amazed. If they can release A-level ninjutsu before the age of 20, they can still accept it, but before the age of 20, the taijutsu has reached the level of Jonin. The level even competes with Jonin, and I have to say, this is no longer an ordinary genius. Everyone looked at Mifune subconsciously. According to the news released by Mifune before, this guy should have been undercover under Akira Yagyu for a long time before 05, which means that he must have mastered Akira Yagyu now. Those strong people can change. Strong reason. Facing the gazes of the people around him, Mifune looked at his nose, mouth with concern, as if everything had nothing to do with him, and seemed to not notice the gazes of the people around him at all, and immediately saw the surrounding people as itchy. But how can you not take 3 boats? In the picture here, Kizaru is still continuing, but it is all small countries, some ninja warriors, etc. Basically, they are playing small games. There are not enough resources. Even if the talent is very good, it is difficult to have outstanding performance, and it is not enough to cause special attention from Four Shadows and Akira Yagyu. Because of the limitations of the place, as long as the opponent is knocked down from the stage, they can win, so the battle did not delay for too long. In just 2 hours, 10 waves of people had already changed in the battle. The screen changed again. Kizaru read out the names of 2 people, and then I saw 2 people come to the stage one after another. One of them was a ninja from the Land of Fire. After seeing that person, Akira Yagyu's impression of Konoha didn't seem to have such a person. When Sarutobi Hiruzen heard Kizaru mention the Fire Country ninja, his eyes suddenly became weird when he saw that person. After the 2 came to power, Kizaru did not rush to start fighting, but set his sights on the ninja from the Land of Fire. What's going on? What happened? Why haven't we started the fight yet? The surrounding people were anxiously waiting, and they didn't announce the start of the fight. Only ninjas and samurai under the age of 20 are allowed to participate. Can you understand what I mean? Advertisement. Kizaru looked at the fire ninja in the country of fire and suddenly said something. Kindness. Everyone was stunned, and immediately looked at Kizaru curiously. Everyone knows this request. I don't understand why he said that. Could this Kizaru Admiral even feel the age of the other party? Under the age of 20, of course I know, I was sent by our country of fire, and I am just 20 years old this year. The Fire Country ninja smiled, with a simple and honest smile on his face, which made people have no doubts about his words, and it was true from the face. It is indeed difficult for people to notice that he is 21 or 2 years old. If the world government can't solve this problem, if there is such a problem, I am afraid that I will shoot myself in the foot. Yes. When Kizaru heard the man's answer, he sneered, and a golden light flashed between his fingers. Kindness. The genius ninja from the Land of Fire was stunned when he saw the light between Kizaru, and a bad premonition rose in his heart. What? The golden light broke away from Kizaru in an instant, causing a long arc to shoot towards the fire ninja. What? How did you see it? The Fire Country ninja screamed and quickly escaped, and the whole person quickly withdrew from the transformation technique. That person was none other than Jiraiya, who came with Sarutobi Hiruzen. Send. Look, isn't this Jiraiya, one of Konoha Sannin? Advertisement. Ah, yes, it's really him. Didn't he become famous in World War II? He should be over 20 by now. It's not just 20 years old, this guy is in his 30s. Wow, over 30. It's really shameless to pretend to be 20 years old to grab op fruit with young people. Does the country of fire do this kind of thing? That's it. That's it. To let Sannin come out to bully teenage children, the country of fire really dares to do such a thing. The crowd watching the battle saw Jiraiya's figure, and they cursed one by one, especially some countries that did not have a particularly good relationship with the country of fire, and began to criticize the country of fire. The country of earth, the country of wind, and the country of thunder are all among them. Third Hokage, it's really a shame for you to go abroad this time. Even Sannin was dispatched. Do you want to play in person later? The relationship between Leizhou Kingdom and the Kingdom of Fire has not always been very good. Seeing that Jiraiya was dismantled on the competition stage, Third Raikage immediately pointed the finger at Sarutobi Hiruzen, and said disdainfully, and sprinkled all the evil anger that just appeared because of Luasha on Sarutobi Hiruzen's head. Hearing Third Raikage's words, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face turned red, but he couldn't say anything, so he could only secretly endure the ridiculing eyes of everyone. How can Third Raikage say that? Even though it is a foul by the Fire Nation, we can't be too hard on Third Hokage. Hearing that Third Raikage was targeting the Fire Nation, he immediately jumped out and said, and his words immediately met Sarutobi Hiruzen's friendly gaze. Otherwise, simply disqualify everyone in the country of fire, and the Third Hokage, who will be saved later, will quietly play again in person. Luo Sha didn't seem to notice Sarutobi Hiruzen's gaze, paused, and continued. Chapter 151 Space Ninjutsu. Luo Sha's later words made people from all over the world, who were still a little puzzled, look like they were constipated. No, Jiraiya is confused for a while, I will let him personally apologize to His Excellency Yagyu when I go back. Sarutobi Hiruzen was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Originally, he wanted to unite with other countries to restrain the growth of the world government, but he did not expect to be targeted instead. But I can't blame all countries. After all, the country of fire has the most fertile land, and all kinds of resources are inexhaustible. It even needs the joint suppression of the 4 countries to compete. Of course, they don't want to be the most powerful country of fire. Get the op fruit again. Don't say it. Every genius should have the opportunity to get the op fruit. Let's forget about this matter. If I find someone over 20 years old who wants to be fooled, then my people will be killed on the spot. Akira Yagyu narrowed his eyes and stopped Luo Sha, who was still shouting. After all, this is his own territory, so let them keep arguing, and he doesn't want to watch those battles. As soon as the words fell, they immediately aroused the conformity of people from all over the world. Obviously, they all planned to confuse people. If they were found out and disqualified, it would be a big loss. At this moment, on the stage of the martial arts conference, Jiraiya blocked her ears with both hands and pretended not to hear anything. What are you talking about earning? I am training the juniors, do you understand? Op fruit is not something that everyone can get. I am here to test the abilities of these juniors, otherwise you will think that I will be with a group of people. What kind of op fruit are the juniors robbing? You are not ashamed, I am ashamed. Jiraiya is also thick-skinned. After speaking to the group of people, he directly began to say that the audience was shameless, and he said that his face was not blushing and he was out of breath. How shameless? How did this guy become a Sannin? The dignified Konoha Sannin is so virtuous, angry. Hearing Jiraiya's words, a group of people were even more angry, but they could only verbally admit their prestige, and no one dared to do anything. They can only take advantage of the general situation to show their prestige in words. If they are really together with Jiraiya, I'm afraid they won't even dare to move. Everyone is quiet. In this battle, because the players of the country of fire violated the rules of the competition, it is regarded as a failure, and the Sunagaker ninja Yekora of the country of wind will win this game. Kizaru finally spoke up again, and the scene quickly quieted down. Advertisement. The following are the 2 sides of the 12th group. They are Namikaze Minato, a 20-year-old from the land of fire, and Kari, a 19-year-old from the land of earth. Kizaru said again according to the form in his hand, the voice fell, and the 2 of them had already appeared on the stage. A man from the land of fire again. This time it's Sannin's impersonation, right? Hearing that it was the land of fire again, the other 3 shadows immediately set their eyes on Sarutobi Hiruzen, and joked at the same time. Humph. With a cold snort, Sarutobi Hiruzen simply didn't speak, letting the strange gazes of those around him. Hearing Namikaze Minato's name, Akira Yagyu's eyes jumped. This guy must be more than 20 years old. His eyes turned to Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 2 eyes flickered. Akira Yagyu knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen, the old fox, was doing bad things again. However, Akira Yagyu did not point it out, because not only the people in Sarutobi Hiruzen are over 20 years old, but almost many people are over 20 years old. After all, Akira Yagyu just said it casually at the beginning. He can do whatever they want, as long as he doesn't look too old, he can do whatever he wants, all he needs is a genius who has enough time to develop op fruit's ageless surgery ability. On the other hand, the corner of Tsuchikage's mouth raised slightly, as if he was sure about this battle. Hunter is their Iwagakure genius who has the limit of blood, and he has already played the perfect game with one-handed blasting. Game start. After Kizaru gave an order, the 2 immediately moved. Namikaze Minato and Kari both rushed towards each other quickly. Explosion-style mind fist. With a cold drink, Sho jumped up and slammed down directly at Namikaze Minato, but was easily dodged by Namikaze Minato and hit the ground with a punch. Seeing his attack fail, Kari laughed, as if his target wasn't Namikaze Minato at all. Advertisement. The next moment, the ground exploded instantly, and the terrifying explosive force directly sent Minato, who had just strayed away from the crest of the wave and planned to attack the hunter, flying out. Crest Minato's body was directly thrown out of the stage, and he was about to fall out of the stage. A group of people secretly felt a pity, but they didn't expect that the unfortunate person who had not fought the country of fire would be thrown out. Looking at the situation, it was already powerless to revolving heaven. Everyone looked back, thinking that Namikaze Minato would definitely lose, but Akira Yagyu and Sarutobi Hiruzen were still staring at the projection. The kunai top that was thrown out quickly. Is the golden glitter about to start? Looking at Namikaze Minato, Akira Yagyu thought to himself. As Akira Yagyu expected, Namikaze Minato suddenly disappeared into the air. The next moment, he had already appeared behind Hunter. Boom. Zhao again, in the blink of an eye, Hunter had already flown out and fell heavily on the sidelines. Everyone was stunned, and the ninjas in the land of no land were opening their mouths to shout the name of healing. Roar, it's a terrifying space ability. Kizaru looked at Namikaze Minato and said leisurely. This is space ninjutsu. Some of you have developed space ninjutsu. At this moment, the hall where Akira Yagyu was sitting was a mess, and everyone looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen in astonishment, and the disdainful expressions before had disappeared without a trace. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at everyone's surprised expressions, and was very satisfied, but when he looked at Akira Yagyu, he found that Akira Yagyu's face had not changed, even after hearing the screams of the crowd, it was still very dull. Chapter 152 The Bloody Battle. Namikaze Minato, the country of fire, won this match because Kari no Kuni fell out of the field. Hearing Kizaru announce the result of the game, as if no one heard, the field was still terribly silent. The following is the next group to play against, the 20-year-old Fuji of the Kingdom of Wind and the 19-year-old Killer Bee of the Kingdom of Thunder. Seeing Namikaze Minato stepping down, Kizaru glanced at the people who were still in a state of horror, and said lightly. Killer Bee, Eight-Tails Jinchuriki of the Land of Thunder. As the two came to the stage, the ninjas in the hall saw the figures of Killer Bee, and someone immediately said. In this regard, Third Hokage didn't say anything. At first, he thought that he had dispatched Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, and he was determined to win. He didn't expect that a space ninjutsu user would jump out of the country of fire. Although he still has confidence, space ninjutsu is really weird. No one in the country of thunder has been able to figure it out, and no explanation has been left. Until now, all countries except the country of fire have a hazy understanding of space ninjutsu status. Killer Bee, as a person who can perfectly control the tailed beast chakra, is not skilled enough yet, but it is enough to deal with ordinary ninjas. And in 207, the ninjas of the Land of the Winds were drawn to try their luck just because they were old enough, and they didn't have anything to do, so they were quickly taken out of the field by thunder and lightning. Luo Sha, is there no one in the Land of Wind? Why did you even bring in Chunin, who just graduated? Seeing that the ninja of the Land of Winds was defeated by Killer Bee, Third Hokage immediately taunted. Humph. Luo Sha snorted coldly, pretending that he didn't hear it, knowing that these guys would eliminate so many perverts, he wouldn't let them play. Advertisement. Akira Yagyu did not speak from the beginning to the end, and now he has seen several geniuses who are suitable for the development of op fruit. Namikaze Minato and Killer Bee are one of them, although Kaku is also very talented, but if facing Namikaze Minato's words can't help the other party at all. Although Namikaze Minato seems to be in his 20s, you must know that using Flying Thunder God, this guy can kill even Cage level, and Kaku doesn't have armament hockey yet, so he has little hope of staying in the first place. AFBD. In the next few battles, a lot of geniuses emerged. Of course, compared to Killer Bee and Namikaze Minato, who has space ninjutsu, it was a lot of sadness. Soon the first round of screening was coming to an end, but it was too late. There is no action with Yahiko. Yahiko, did you know that you didn't send someone? Seeing that there have been a few ninjas from the Land of Rain, they have all received mediocre responses, which surprised Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others. Yes, the next thing is. Yahiko smiled, and then glanced at Luo Sha with a subconscious gaze. Noticing Yahiko's gaze, Luo Sha frowned, feeling a little puzzled, not understanding why this guy looked at him. Hearing Yahiko's words, everyone was stunned. They didn't pay much attention to Kizaru's words just now, only to find a young man standing on the stage, and in front of him was a ninja who was seriously injured with dozens of steel needles on his body. In this game, Sasori of Akisha from the Land of Rain wins. Kizaru let out a cry, and everyone was staring at the contest stage, which had been dyed red with blood. Although there have been injuries in previous games, this is the first time someone has suffered such a serious injury. It's a ninja from the Land of Rain, what do you mean, Yahiko? Seeing the ninja forehead protector of the ninja being treated by the medical ninja on the stage, Hanzo of the Salamander's expression sank, and his eyes suddenly fell on Yahiko. Advertisement. No one would have imagined that, from the Land of Rain, this person of Shao would actually play such a heavy hand. You must know that those who come here to participate in the competition are definitely not ordinary people, at least they will be geniuses who can become Jonin in the future, and it will be a great loss to lose one. In addition, this is only a competition, and no one will specifically kill, the performance of Akatsuki's participants is really unclear. For a while, everyone in the hall looked at Yahiko and found that Yahiko was also frowning, a little surprised. At this moment, Yahiko's heart also sank. Sasori of Akasha is a newcomer in their organization and the most suitable one. He has already warned him in advance, and he does not understand why this guy would suddenly do such a thing. In any case, Hanzo of the Salamander must be stabilized first, otherwise it will be difficult for them to do things in the future. Because someone was seriously injured, the atmosphere on the field became extremely depressing, and the big names and leaders of various small countries were overwhelmed by the permeating atmosphere on the field. Because it was the preliminary round, there was no rest. After all, endurance is also one of the events of the competition, so the second round of the competition began immediately. Then the third round, the fourth round. Although the rhythm of the battle was fast, the whole day passed, and all the battles did not end. The people on the field kept cheering, and it was obvious that the country had never been so addicted. I don't know if it's because of the stimulation of Sasori of Akasha before, the geniuses from all over the world are getting more and more ruthless, and the ninjas who fought against Sasori of Akasha were all seriously injured, which made everyone shocked and angry, although they didn't hurt anyone. Killed, but this also made many people annoyed. Yahiko stopped talking and watched the game with a sullen face. Today's competition is here, and the top 10 have been selected so far, namely Namikaze Minato from the land of fire, Killer Bee from the land of thunder, Sasori of red sand from the land of rain, Yekora from the land of wind, World Kaku of the government, Sickle of the country of ghosts, Yuzo of the country of the sky, Saburo Hattori of the country of iron, Matsukawa of the country of earth, Hitaki Kakashi of the country of fire. The sky was getting darker and darker. Kizaru has also counted the top 10 winners. The youngest is Hitaki Kakashi, who is only 12 years old, and the only woman is Hitaki Kakashi from the land of wind. However, the scythe of the country of ghosts carrying a sarcophagus and the scythe of the country of the sky with chakra firearms are the dark horses that came out. Chapter 153 Kaku vs. Ghost Ninja. At the end of the day of fighting, the people withdrew from their excitement. Although they were exhausted, this did not reduce the enthusiasm of the people. This is a battle that they have never seen before, especially in the later period when the geniuses of various countries meet, and all kinds of magical ninjutsu techniques are all dazzling. Now that the top 10 places are out, if these 10 people can live to that time, their names will surely resound throughout the ninja world. The big and small countries also protected their geniuses immediately. Although Akira Yagyu clearly forbids fighting in the Holy Land, who knows if there will be some hostile countries who are afraid and secretly kill these geniuses. Especially the country of fire, as the only country with 2 geniuses in the top 10, one mastered space ninjutsu, and the other reached the level of Jonin at the age of 12, which made all major countries feel panic. Looking at it, it is obvious that the country of fire has a better chance of winning. The country of fire is already strong enough, and there are 2 top talents. If they have op fruit, then the other major countries will be defeated by the fire again. State repression. Lord Raikage, 3rd Hokage and Jiraiya, one of the Sannin, are in the land of fire, and our people can't get close. Lord Kazekage, I'm sorry, the security of the Holy Land is too tight, and the people of the land of ghosts simply do not allow anyone to approach their residential area. Lord Tsuchikage, with Matsukawa-kun's current injury, it is already difficult to cope with tomorrow's battle. Lord Hokage, it seems that there are 3 people from the country of the sky, led by 2 Jonin, and they did not return to their living quarters. Lord Hanzo, Akatsuki and everyone stayed in the house and no one came out. It was getting late, and in the small attics where the various countries lived, everyone was secretly talking about something, and the spies of various countries were also quickly reporting all the information they had found to the names or leaders of the countries. At this moment, Mifune is also talking to Akira Yagyu. Okay, I understand, you continue to monitor the movements of the countries, remember not to let them provoke wars. Akira Yagyu nodded immediately after listening to Mifune's report. Because of the relationship between the Sasori of Akasha, the geniuses between countries are now starting to work hard, and it can be seen from the side that the relations between countries are not so friendly. If not, his sudden rise has made all countries jealous, and I am afraid that all countries have already fought. His Royal Highness, the guy called the Sickle in the country of ghosts, seems a little strange. I can feel that guy's soul is full of darkness and evil. Akira Yagyu returns to the mansion, and Suru reports to Akira Yagyu what he observed while he was in the audience seat. Advertisement. A guy from the land of ghosts. Akira Yagyu was stunned, thinking of the long-haired youth who was carrying a sarcophagus on the field at that time. Yes, that young man, a very strange person, who has an extremely pure heart and an extremely evil mind at the same time. Crane nodded, recalling the horror he felt for the first time. It seems that every country should not be underestimated. Akira Yagyu nodded, being able to survive as a small country so far, no country does not have its own secrets. The time of the night quickly turned again, and everyone gathered again at the venue of the martial arts conference. This time everyone was extremely excited, because there were only 10 people left, and the first place in the world will be decided today. Everyone wants to see which country will be the strongest in this young generation. Because the ninja from the land was out of physical strength when he fought against other countries yesterday. Although he won, he also left a lot of injuries. He can only regret that he is complete, and the remaining 9 people all came to the arena. The battle quota was drawn, and in the end, luckily, Kaku faced the person from the country of ghosts, and Sasori of Akshasa was bye-bye. Others are the Kingdom of Wind versus the Kingdom of Sky, the Kingdom of Thunder versus the Kingdom of Iron, and when Namikaze Minato versus Hitaki Kakashi was finally drawn, people from all countries almost laughed out loud. 0. Ask for flowers. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen was annoyed, he was also a little helpless. After all, it was drawn by each participant himself, and he couldn't blame others for bad luck. The battle between Kaku and the ninja in the Land of Ghosts has attracted everyone's attention. On one side are the people from the world government, and on the other are the ninjas from the remote and strange Land of Ghosts. They all want to see what the two sides have. Such strength. Because Kaku is related to the people of the world government, the audience at the venue are all looking at Kaku with a frenzy. Game start. With the order of Kizaru, Kaku moved instantly, standing on the ground with one leg, and threw a wind blade from the other leg. Advertisement. Point 0. Tempest Kick. What? Tempest Kick cuts through the sky, really wants to tear the air apart. Those who can make it to the top 10 are not easy people, and the battle will be more intense. No one will hold back anymore today, because the decision will be made today. The first place, so I hope to be able to fight quickly, finish the battle as soon as possible, go to rest and recover physical strength. Earth-style earth wall. The ninja of the Land of Ghosts let out a low voice, and an earth wall rose instantly, and his feet cut the earth wall vertically, leaving a gap, but the ninja of the Land of Ghosts was not there. Earth-style hardening technique. The ninja of the country of ghosts rushed to Kaku, his hands turned into a pair of giant stone hammers, and smashed towards Kaku. Iron body. Kaku put his arms together and snorted, really like iron body. With a bang, the two collided and bounced off each other. Kaku suddenly changed, his neck suddenly became slender and turned into a giraffe in a blink of an eye. Seeing Kaku's change, everyone looked like they had seen a ghost, their eyes widened, and they stared at Kaku, who had even changed his species on the stage. Your Excellency Yagayu, that is. All countries outside the world government looked at Akira Yagayu in amazement. Factory. Chapter 154 Yahiko's Suspicion. Kaku turned into a giraffe, and his strength and speed were improved. What? Seeing Kaku's sudden transformation, the ninja of the country of ghosts was also stunned, and the next moment his face changed. I saw Kaku's body kept flickering around the ninja in the Land of Ghosts. This guy's speed has increased again. Looking at the difficult to capture figure of Kaku on the stage, Jiraiya was also stunned, and it is estimated that ordinary Jonin would have difficulty keeping up with Kaku's current speed. Looking at Kaku's flickering figure, the sickle gritted his teeth, and several worms drilled out of the sarcophagus behind him, directly entering his body from the back of the mirror blade's neck. Roar. After the sound of death, the sickle suddenly became like a wild beast, with the aura of a mob constantly exuding from his body. 27. Had a grim expression on his face, and even saliva was dripping from his mouth. What's going on? How did this guy's chakra suddenly increase so much? And his stamina has also improved a lot. Seeing the changes in the mirror blade, whether it was Jiraiya sitting on the field or cage level from various countries in the lobby, all of them were shocked. The country of ghosts has always been mysterious, maybe it's their own secret technique. Third Tsuchikage frowned as he looked at the scythe on the field, and said lightly after thinking for a while. When other people heard the image of third generation say this, they did not have any doubts. After all, every small country has its own secrets, and there are even more peculiar seal wizards in the country of ghosts. After the worm entered the body, the sickle's body, muscle speed, including chakra all skyrocketed immediately. The whole person is also full of aggression, the whites of the eyes have disappeared, the pupils are constantly enlarged, the entire eyes are occupied by the pupils and become black, which looks extremely strange. Advertisement. Fire. The scythe let out a low cry, and his hands quickly formed a seal. After the sarcophagus behind him, countless flames burst out from the inside. The flames were like a flexible long snake, instantly surrounding Kaku. Godnet. After the fire snake saw Kaku surrounded, the sickle did not stop, and the second ninjutsu continued to condense again, only to see that this time a hurricane speed rolled out in front of the sickle, and instantly rushed into the flame, and the flame followed the hurricane. Roll up and wrap the Kaku in it. What? The flames rose to the sky, but Kaku was not seen at all. Everyone was taken aback by the battle in front of them, and even some women in the stands screamed directly. In such a raging flame, most people would be burned to ashes in an instant, and Kaku was not even prepared for ninjutsu. At this moment, apart from the roar of the hurricane and the turbulent flames, no other sound could be heard in the battle arena. They all looked at the flames quietly, each with a look of astonishment. Many people looked at the sickle and felt that this guy was crazy. This is the territory of the world government. He actually dared to kill the people of the world government. Countless people immediately looked at them with pity.
However, the sickle seems to think that this is not enough, and is still quickly raising the handprint. Earth-style Earth Contest Labyrinth. Countless vertical soil struggles suddenly emerged from the ground, squeezing around in the center of the hurricane of flames, turning crimson red under the scorching and reflection of the flames. Suddenly the ground vibrated violently, making the originally turbulent flames seem to be thickened in an instant. Tempest Kick Kirin Shiyu. Amidst the flames, Kaku's violent shouts were suddenly heard, followed by countless wind blades rushing out of the flames, slicing the soil bamboo shoots and scattering them towards the surroundings. This guy who came to join himself, he said that someone else invited him, who is it? After a series of explosions, the ground was blasted with countless ditch marks, and because the town kept resisting the pouring feet, the chakra was exhausted, and finally resisted with the sarcophagus behind it, but was still hit by those Tempest Kick air blades, hit and flew out and fell off the field. Advertisement. Everyone was relieved when they saw the airblade being knocked apart, but at this moment the platform was beyond recognition. The soil that had just risen had all been smashed into dust, and the entire platform was full of ravines. Boom. The result of the battle was not unexpected, and everyone didn't pay much attention to it. There were only 4 players in the next battle list. Because Ye Kang was fighting with Saburo Hattori, he had to give up the game. The remaining 4 can be said to be prosperous. State. In this game, Kaku wins. Everyone was amazed by Kaku's series of moves just now. The light blue wind blade was shooting in the wind like fireworks. If the damage caused by the following 1.3 was ignored, it would be like a performance event. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Before everyone could relax, the flames had just dissipated because of the wind, and Kaku's figure quickly took it out and jumped into the air. The sickle that fell to the ground kept coughing blood, and there were countless wounds on the body, and the blood seeped out along the soft soil. Beside him, take it away without saying a word. Phoenix feet are messed up. Kaku quickly kicked the ninja of the country of ghosts who was still resisting his feet again, and countless wind blades were interspersed with each other and slashed towards the mirror blade. Countless wind blades, with the sound of tearing the air, shot around quickly, scaring the people on the field to scream again, seeing that those wind blades, Tempest Kick, were about to bring disaster to the audience seats. Fortunately, Kizaru was already ready, and turned into a burst of golden light, smashing away or blocking all the Tempest Kick airblades that were scattered out of the field. Kizaru let the people from the land of ghosts take the sickle away, and then announced to the surrounding. After Kizaru let Kaku down, you started to continue the following games, and the next few battles were basically no suspense, respectively Namikaze Minato, Killer Bee and Ye Kang of the Land of Wind won. Yahiko was sitting in the chair, looking at Sasori of Akasha on the screen, remembering what he said before when he joined, and finally began to doubt in his heart. Hearing Kizaru's announcement, everyone was stunned. Everything happened too fast just now, and then people reacted, and roaring applause sounded in the audience. Chapter 155 Decisive Battle, Killer Bee's Namikaze Minato. The semifinals continued, Kaku vs Killer Bee, Namikaze Minato's Sasori of Akasha. In the end, Killer Bee, who was unable to enter the state of Tailed Beast, was knocked out of the battlefield and eliminated by Kaku. As for Sasori of Red Sand, he was also directly defeated by Namikaze Minato's Flying Thunder God. Next, the finals are coming. Let's invite Killer Bee from the Land of Thunder and Namikaze Minato from the Land of Fire. Kizaru's eyes jumped, and his voice sounded again on the field. By the time of the final, everyone's breathing became heavier, and the nobles of the Kingdom of Thunder and the Kingdom of Fire kept shouting and cheering. A group of people in the hall, except for 3rd Raikage and 3rd Hokage, everyone else has lost interest in the outcome of the battle, especially Luo Sha, whose face is also extremely ugly. Op fruit, no matter whether it falls in the hands of the Kingdom of Thunder or the Kingdom of Fire, nothing good for him. Game start. Following Kizaru's order, the two moved quickly. Especially Killer Bee, who directly entered the half-tailed animalized chakra mode, immediately enveloped a layer of phantom, and O5 and the phantom quickly solidified, turning into a strange beast-like existence, lying on the ground, with 8 tails in the back. Electric. What? What is this? What a terrifying aura. This terrifying aura seems to be stronger than Tsuchikage-sama. The surrounding people immediately exclaimed when they saw Killer Bee's current appearance. Into the tailed beast? 8 tails half-tailed beast. This guy has been able to control the 8 tails chakra at a young age. With the auditorium on top, Jiraiya was stunned when he saw Killer Bee. Today, he really saw enough geniuses. If they were allowed to grow up, they might really be the world of these young people in the future. Do you use all your strength from the beginning? You really look up to the ninjas of our country of fire? Advertisement. Everyone was shocked when they saw the change in Killer Bee. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, and immediately looked at 3rd Raikage and said. The movie ignores this and just continues to watch the screen. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Akira Yagyu quietly, and found that Akira Yagyu was also watching the battle between the two on the screen. He frowned slightly. When he realized that Akira Yagyu seemed to be aware of his gaze, he quickly turned his eyes. Take back the videophone bug staring in front of you. How could Sarutobi Hiruzen's movements escape the perception of his intermediate observation Haki? Yagyu just smiled slightly in his heart. Sarutobi Hiruzen acted too carefully. Many times this guy's character is restrained and many unnecessary things happen. Akira Yagyu looked at the screen. In fact, he also felt that he didn't care about the results of the game. Whether it was Killer Bee or Namikaze Minato, they were both suitable candidates for Yagyu. One of them could perfectly control the tailed beast chakra, and the other one is the Flying Thunder God who can learn 2nd generation. The talents of both are extraordinary existences of penultimate. In addition, the two are young and have special physiques. No matter who eats op fruit, there is a great possibility. Ageless surgery was developed. After entering the state of half-tailed beast, Killer Bee did not hesitate. The 8 tails behind him like octopus tentacles, quickly charged towards Namikaze Minato, and smashed down with great momentum. Namikaze Minato looked at the tentacles coming from the electricity, and quickly stepped on his feet, smashing the floor under his feet, and rushed out with the help of his strength, and instantly came to the air. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. In midair, Namikaze Minato instantly threw a shuriken, and then chakra quickly dispersed, immediately splitting into hundreds of chakra shuriken. each shuriken with a cold light, densely stabbing towards Killer Bee. Roar. With a low roar, Killer Bee's other tentacles also moved quickly, slamming towards the chakra kunai, and the chakra shuriken shook to the ground. Then, the other two tentacles rushed out quickly while Namikaze Minato was in the air and grabbed towards Namikaze Minato. Oh no, the audience watched Namikaze Minato in the air, unable to dodge the two tentacle tails of Killer Bee at all. Seeing that Namikaze Minato was about to be caught by the two tentacle tails, they couldn't help screaming. But in the next moment, Namikaze Minato disappeared in midair in an instant, and when he reappeared, he had already arrived at the position where the three-edged kunai that he threw with the shuriken he just threw. Advertisement, that's right in front of Killer Bee. Namikaze Minato's eyes were solemn, and instead of attacking Killer Bee immediately, he threw the kunai out of his hand again. The next moment, it disappeared in place again. Boom. The moment Namikaze Minato disappeared, another shot smashed down, swept over where Namikaze Minato was just now, and hit the ground heavily, smashing all the slates on the ground. Namikaze Minato reappeared at the place where kunai flew out, grabbed kunai, then threw it out again, swept his tail again, and was dodged by Namikaze Minato using Flying Thunder God. The audience outside the arena, on the stage that was turned red because of Killer Bee 207, a blonde figure appeared from time to time and then disappeared quickly. All of them looked dazed. This level of battle, their speed, has been not these ordinary people and nobles can capture it. Cunning guy. Killer Bee was also furious, but he had already figured out Namikaze Minato's flashing trick, and his eyes were fixed on the kunai that Namikaze Minato constantly released, and at the same time, he quickly swallowed the yin and yang chakra energy, and then swallowed it in his mouth. I saw you. Suddenly, Killer Bee's eyes caught Namikaze Minato's kunai, and towards the position of kunai, he instantly spewed out a straight-line energy attack. Kunai was instantly destroyed by the small-tailed beast cannon, and then the tailed beast cannon was castrated and submerged in the front arena. Boom. There was a loud noise, and the entire venue shook violently, as if it was doomsday. The people and nobles who were still watching the battle in the audience immediately screamed and wanted to escape. At the position where the tailed beast cannon was just attacked, although Killer Bee had made his tailed beast cannon as small as possible, it still exploded a large pit that was more than 50 meters deep and more than 10 meters deep. Chapter 156. If you don't eat it, I will give it to others. So strong. Namikaze Minato was also surprised when he saw the huge damage caused by Killer Bee. At the same time, he was secretly thankful that he hadn't immediately used Flying Thunder God to transfer to kunai, Fly Ash. But Killer Bee's missed shot also gave Namikaze Minato a chance, and the Rasengan, who had already prepared, just slapped down Killer Bee's back. Boom. With a bang, Killer Bee entered the half-tailed beast mode, but the Rasengan of Namikaze Minato was still a little overwhelmed. Under Rasengan's bombardment, he fell directly on the ground and withdrew from the tailed beast chakra mode. At this moment, Killer Bee, even if he can enter the tailed beast chakra mode again, can no longer cause danger to Namikaze Minato, who has Flying Thunder God technique. This is where space ninjutsu makes people desperate. The Land of Thunder Killer Bee is out of combat. The winner of this match is the Land of Fire Namikaze Minato. With the sound of Kizaru falling, everyone on the field turned their eyes from the giant pit just blasted by the tailed beast to the stage in amazement. The people who were fleeing in a panic also stopped and saw Killer Bee from the original monster. Withdrawing from the same pattern, everyone immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Wow! Namikaze Minato is so handsome. Minato is number one in the ninja world. Minato, advertisement. This is already the final. Namikaze Minato's victory represents the end of this competition. Namikaze Minato has become the well-deserved first place among the young generation of the entire ninja world. Countless people began to shout. Of course, most of them were nobles and ninjas from the Land of Fire. Taking the lead. For the first time in their lives, the people at the venue saw such a thrilling battle, and even the nobles had almost never seen such a shocking battle. At this moment, everyone in the hall stopped making a sound, and Third Raikage's face was a little ugly. He didn't expect Namikaze Minato's space ninjutsu to be so powerful. At the same time, it is a pity that Killer Bee is too young and a little impatient, otherwise he can completely consume with Namikaze Minato, or he can wait a little longer, and then spray the tail beast cannon when the wind Minato moves. Although if this blow really hits Namikaze Minato, it will probably kill him directly, but so what? For the Land of Thunder, they have Op fruit and can kill the Land of Fire. Those who have learned space ninjutsu will only benefit them in the Kingdom of Thunder. Looking at the end of the battle, Namikaze Minato's victory also made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel relieved. After all, Jinchuriki, who can control the tailed beast chakra, is much more powerful than a simple tailed beast, and even more terrifying than cage level. He is not. If Namikaze Minato has experienced such a battle, if he is accidentally killed, it will definitely be an incomparable loss for the country of fire. With the end of the finals, the top 10 of the martial arts tournament were all brought into the hall. There are Akira Yagayu, 4 shadows, and the leaders and daimyo of various countries. Looking at the 10 people in front of them, people from each country have some emotions in their hearts. Is this the top 10 geniuses in the human world? Long? Although they are only about 20 years old now, their fighting power is not very eye-catching compared to Namikaze Minato and Killer Bee, but there is no doubt that these 10 people can be said to have the strength of Jonin. 10 people, regardless of their age,
Jonan's strength alone is a terrifying force in any country. Although everyone around them wants to draw all 10 people into their village, they all know that this is not a good thing. Possible. 10 people stood side by side in a row, facing the leaders of each country and the cage level of each village, while also waiting for Akira Yagyu. Glancing at the crowd, Akira Yagyu slowly stepped onto the stage. Congratulations, you are geniuses in the entire ninja world and samurai world, and you will be more brilliant in the future because of you. Advertisement Liu Shengming was no older than the 9 other people on the court except Kakashi, but what he said seemed extremely old-fashioned. Those who enter the top 10 in this competition can enter my Marine Academy unconditionally, of course, if you want, in addition. Next, I will announce the op fruit that I promised before for the first place. But I have a request, the first person must eat this fruit in front of everyone. If the first person does not agree, I will let the second person go and so on until someone is willing to eat it. Akira Yagyu glanced at the crowd again, then quickly withdrew his gaze, and then the conversation changed, and he said lightly. What? Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, the people around were stunned, and Sarutobi Hiruzen even cried out. You don't have to wonder, this martial arts conference itself is prepared for the op fruit, to find its owner for this fruit. I can understand your thoughts, but not everyone can control it. Akira Yagyu glanced at the cage level, the leader and the big name, and then continued to speak indifferently. Just eat it, how do we know if this will be poisonous or not? Although Akira Yagyu's mind was pierced, Sarutobi Hiruzen still expressed his concerns. You can choose not to. Akira Yagyu glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen, squinting and smiling. It seems that as soon as Sarutobi Hiruzen says no, he will immediately give the op fruit to Killer B. His Royal Highness Yagyu, if the people in the country of fire don't want it, please give it to me. As the second and first place, I should be able to accept this reward. I am willing to give this op fruit in front of everyone. Eat. Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, he glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen with a hesitant face. Killer B was a ruthless man. He stepped forward and said loudly, attracting everyone's attention, which also made 3rd Hokage and 3rd Hokage 2 people's faces changed at the same time. Chapter 157. The trial begins. Killer B suddenly made a sound, surprising everyone. After 3rd Hokage's eyes met Killer B's determined eyes, he did not speak, but Sarutobi Hiruzen continued to look hesitant. Originally, he planned to bring op fruit back to study, but Killer B suddenly stood up, which made him a little difficult. He couldn't guarantee whether what Akira Yagyu said was true. However, according to Akira Yagyu's appearance, it seems that they do not intend to let them find someone to try it out. But now he didn't even see what the outcome of the operation would look like, so he couldn't make a decision at all. His Royal Highness Yagyu, please bring me the op fruit. If there is really any problem with the op fruit, I am willing to bear all the consequences. Namikaze Minato finally stood up. He knew that if Sarutobi Hiruzen hesitated any longer, this op fruit that he had fought hard for could really be given to Killer B by Akira Yagyu. After all, at the age of less than 20, he was able to skillfully control the chakra of 8 tails. Such Jinchuriki's talent was no worse than himself. Minato, are you sure? Hearing Namikaze Minato's words, Sarutobi Hiruzen 210 raised his head and asked in a deep voice. The original hesitant color quickly disappeared. Namikaze Minato nodded earnestly without saying much, but turned his determined gaze to Killer B. Pity. Glancing at Namikaze Minato, Killer B sighed inwardly and had to retreat. This time Akira Yagyu saw that Namikaze Minato agreed to his request and didn't say much. Turning around directly, Hancock didn't know when there was an extra box in his hand, and he brought it up. Advertisement opened the brocade box, and inside it is Akira Yagyu, who spent 5 billion taels for op fruit through the Marine Mall. That's right, it is 5 billion taels, which is 3 billion more expensive than Logia's devil fruit, and even more expensive. That's enough to buy a dozen pacifists. The op fruit was taken out of the brocade box by Akira Yagyu and placed in the palm of the hand. It looks like a red heart with a green stem and leaves, with a weird pattern on it, which looks extremely weird. After seeing Akira Yagyu take out the op fruit from the brocade box, a group of people looked at the appearance of the op fruit. All of them were amazed, and everyone who saw devil fruit for the first time would have the same thought in my mind. I wonder if this thing is poisonous. Looking at the tree fruit, Namikaze Minato also frowned. Even he wondered if it was poisonous, but he couldn't take it back after he said it. He stretched out his hand and took the op from Akira Yagyu. Op fruit, then look at Akira Yagyu. Just eat it. Akira Yagyu glanced at him, then chuckled. Okay. Thank you, Your Highness Yagyu, I'm welcome. Namikaze Minato responded, rubbed his palm on it, and found that there was nothing weird on it, and the pattern didn't seem to be carved on it, so he didn't hesitate and took a bite. Wow. As soon as he took a sip, Namikaze Minato immediately made a strange noise, and his face suddenly became extremely distorted. No matter how he looked at it, he looked like he was poisoned. Those who were originally staring at him were immediately startled. All turned their suspicious eyes to Akira Yagyu. Akira Yagyu didn't see it and didn't intend to explain it to everyone's suspicious eyes. Just when Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to explode, Namikaze Minato frowned and took the second bite, then the third, eating the entire op fruit. An op fruit swallowed. AFBD, Namikaze Minato felt a little nauseous, and his face was pale and blue. He had never eaten such an unpalatable food, and he was even trapped in danger when he was performing a mission before. Everything he's ever eaten tastes better than this op fruit. Minato, how is it? Seeing op fruit being delivered, everyone no longer has any hope of getting a piece of the pie. Sarutobi Hiruzen also immediately looked at Namikaze Minato and asked. Advertisement, Lord Hokage, I'm fine. I have a feeling that this op fruit is exactly what His Highness Yagyu said at the beginning. I can be sure that I now have the abilities that His Highness Yagyu said. Namikaze Minato nodded, but didn't test op fruit's abilities here on the spot. This guy. Seeing that Namikaze Minato didn't let them see the power of this op fruit, they cursed inwardly. Originally, I wanted to see this ability, and then I would consider the method of deciphering it later, but now I think it is impossible. But from Namikaze Minato's words, it can be seen that this op fruit is really like what Akira Yagyu said at the beginning. In this case, I am afraid that Namikaze Minato's combat power will be greatly improved again. Hearing Namikaze Minato's words, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but laugh, although it was a pity that he couldn't bring it to other people in the village. The corners of his mouth almost reached the back of his ears, and everyone was angry. At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen is also a little fortunate. Fortunately, Namikaze Minato was able to stand up when he hesitated, otherwise, this op fruit might really be handed over. Now that the martial arts tournament is over and the op fruit has been awarded to me in the Land of Fire, should we start the next thing? Suppressing the joy of having just obtained the op fruit, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly said something, and turned his eyes to Mifune at the same time. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, everyone's eyes narrowed immediately. Mifune also frowned when he heard Sarutobi Hiruzen's words. Didn't expect this guy to wait for the trial of the world government so soon? Of course. Everyone is here now. The conferences of various countries that have been mentioned before can also be held here, but I have one more thing to announce before the meeting. Akira Yagyu squinted at Sarutobi Hiruzen and echoed loudly, but halfway through the conversation changed again and her voice became extremely loud. Chapter 158. The Secret of Ageless Surgery. Akira Yagyu's voice echoed in the hall, causing Sarutobi Hiruzen's complexion to change, and a bad premonition inexplicably raised in his heart. The people around were also stunned for a moment, and then looked at the surrounding His Royal Highness curiously, secretly guessing that this person wants to announce 10. It's about the secret of op fruit. In fact, I didn't finish talking about the secret about op fruit. Akira Yagyu swept around, his voice dropped, and said lightly with a chuckle. Looking at Akira Yagyu and recalling Akira Yagyu's words, the eyes around him immediately became weird, and everyone subconsciously aimed at Sarutobi Hiruzen, always feeling that Akira Yagyu was going to reveal the weakness of op fruit. All ears pricked up. Please up. Sure enough, when Akira Yagyu mentioned a question about op fruit, he was also nervous, but it was about op fruit and Namikaze Minato, so he had to listen, and he didn't even dare to disturb Akira Yagyu. Actually, the biggest secret of op fruit isn't the spooky attacks it can bring to the eater. Akira Yagyu sat back on the chair. Yuzai said indifferently, seeing that the people around him were furious, but they didn't dare to urge them. However, following Akira Yagyu's words, it seems that the secrets to be announced next are not bad for op fruit. A group of people twitched their heads and turned their attention to Namikaze Minato, but even Namikaze Minato himself was a little confused about Akira Yagyu's words. Mind. Akira Yagyu was not in a hurry at all, and took the water glass that Hancock brought up beside him. Looking at Akira Yagyu's appearance at this moment, a group of people wanted to speak for Akira Yagyu immediately, but they didn't know what Akira Yagyu was going to say, so they could only wait quietly. This slip, I suggest you all sit down first. Akira Yagyu took a sip of the tea in the cup and said lightly. Without any hesitation, everyone went back to their seats, looking at Akira Yagyu's face, not daring to look away, wanting to see if Akira Yagyu was lying to them. In addition to simply consuming physical strength to attack, op fruit has cultivated to the ultimate, and I heard that some people have developed the ability to help others with ageless surgery. Advertisement. Akira Yagyu said lightly. He originally planned to hide the secret of op fruit, but after knowing that Namikaze Minato ate op fruit, Akira Yagyu had another idea. What? Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, everyone was shocked. Whether it was the four shadows or the leaders of the various parties, as well as the 10 young people in front of the stage, everyone was shocked. His Royal Highness Yagyu, you are saying that you can have an ageless operation, that ageless operation, yes, isn't it, that? The oldest present, Tsuchikage looked at Akira Yagyu with wide eyes, looked at Akira Yagyu uncertainly, and asked nervously. Surgery for immortality, as the name suggests, is an operation that can make people immortal. As for the method of immortality, I should not need to explain more. Akira Yagyu looked at the people around and said indifferently, completely ignoring how much stormy waves his words caused among the surrounding people. This, after hearing Akira Yagyu's explanation, everyone finally couldn't sit still and all stood up. All eyes were fixed on Akira Yagyu and Namikaze Minato. Your Excellency Yagyu, why didn't you tell it earlier? If you told this secret earlier, we would definitely. Third Hokage, Rosa. Third Tsuchikage, Hanzo of the Salamander. In short, all the powerhouses except Sarutobi Hiruzen, all set their sights on Akira Yagyu, and Third Hokage asked unwillingly. If he had known that this op fruit could help people perform immortality surgery, he would have done everything possible to improve his rabbi's combat power before he came.
It all started to get weird, and some people looked at Namikaze Minato with greed eyes, especially the major countries and those countries that did not vassalize the Fire Kingdom. But then his expression changed again, because he noticed that the people around him were not looking at Namikaze Minato very friendly with him. Advertisement: they don't know if this is Akira Yagayu's reminder to them or simply to provoke stability between their countries, but since Akira Yagayu has told such a secret, then the countries can no longer allow the Fire Nation to develop. All nations have only one idea in mind: either bring Namikaze Minato back to their own country, or kill Namikaze Minato before he grows up. Sarutobi Hiruzen was nervous. He didn't dare to stay in front of these people any longer, and at the same time was a little annoyed. He felt that Akira Yagayu could make it public after everything was over. Why should he tell this secret in front of so many people? Now it has attracted the fear of all countries. Seeing the unwilling eyes of the three shadows around and the leaders of all parties, Akira Yagayu just smiled secretly. Of course he understood the thoughts of these people. If she didn't say whether she planned to tell the secret of the surgery, even if he really intends to tell this secret one day, he will not say it in advance. There are too many secrets in the ninja world that he may not know. Okay, that's all I have to say about the secrets. Can we start the next meeting? After Akira Yagayu finished speaking, she turned her eyes away, looked at everyone, and then her eyes fell on Sarutobi Hiruzen, and continued to speak softly. Factory 0. Ask for flowers. At that time, other countries will inevitably be swept away by the country of fire, and the entire world and the entire software will be classified as the territory of the country of fire. Everyone can't believe that a mere op fruit can really affect the future of the entire ninja world, and even affect the ownership of the entire ninja world, but they have to believe Akira Yagayu's words. Annoyed compared to the other figures, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Namikaze Minato with all the emotions on his face at this moment. Because op fruit must be young geniuses, they have enough ability and time and energy to develop the surgery of immortality. To be on the safe side, Akira Yagayu did not tell these people that the operator would die after the surgery. 0. But after thinking of Namikaze Minato's space ninjutsu, a group of people had a headache again, and it seemed that they could only use some other means. Everyone looked at the Fire Country ninja with malicious eyes. Rosa and 3rd Tsuchikage are no exception. Although the people on both sides wanted to get the op fruit, they didn't do their best. Even Rosa and the man-made devil fruit were not sent out as hidden secret weapons. There is also no particular place for failure. But I just heard Akira Yagayu say that op fruit can't have surgery, and no one can ignore the mistake of passing by Chongsheng because they don't think highly of op fruit. Raise a few mortals and use their powers to get the op fruit in battle, which Akira Yagayu doesn't want to see. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Everyone can imagine that if the people of Konoha have the ability to be immortal, their combat power will not be able to destroy other countries in a short time, but the strength of those immortals can still be improved, and one day they will all be able to reach Cage level, and when there are more and more people with Cage level or even beyond Cage level, then the country of fire is the strongest. Chapter 159. You continue. I'm going to have a meal. Everyone in the hall was stunned. They glanced at each other and smiled bitterly. Sarutobi Hiruzen in particular did not expect that he would shoot himself in the foot in the end. At this moment, he was not in the mood to hold a conference of various countries. If possible, he now just wants to return to Konoha as soon as possible. Because if they don't go back quickly, neither they nor the entire Konoha may be in danger at any time. I think the matter of the meeting should be put on hold for the time being. Your Excellency Yagayu has taken great pains to prepare the martial arts conference for us, and even presented such a magical op fruit. Your Excellency Yagayu is already very troublesome, and now, it is not much inconvenience. Disturb Your Excellency Yagayu. I will go back to the land of fire first. Sarutobi Hiruzen was a bachelor, and when Akira Yagayu mentioned the meeting again, he pretended to be confused, and then turned around to leave. The country of fire is a long way to go. It is inevitable that you will meet people who don't want to talk about it. Why don't I go back with 3rd Hokage? It just so happens that the country of thunder and the country of fire are on the way and give Hokage a ride. Before Sarutobi Hiruzen stepped out of the door, 3rd Raikage got up immediately. I think that should be the case. Op fruit is too precious. For the future of the entire ninja world, I should escort 3rd Hokage. Just as Sarutobi Hiruzen paused and was clenching his teeth, Luo Sha also got up. At this moment, he and 3rd Raikage stood on a united front. Since everyone is on the way, let's go back together. And 3rd Tsuchikage hesitated, but also stood up, and even Hanzo of the Salamander also set his eyes on Sarutobi Hiruzen. Damn these guys. Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart twitched, and he couldn't help but curse secretly. It seems that it is not so easy to leave today. Jiraiya is already waiting outside the door at the moment. Seeing the people around and the atmosphere in the hall a little weird and subtle, Jiraiya is also confused. Advertisement: Jiraiya, take Minato back first, I have a meeting on my side. Sarutobi Hiruzen gritted his teeth. He didn't dare to take Namikaze Minato back directly at this moment. Just when he saw Jiraiya, he didn't give a reason, and told Jiraiya directly. Let's go back first. Good. Naturally, he was stunned, but after seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen's serious expression, he didn't ask any further questions. He nodded immediately and looked at Namikaze Minato with a blank face. Namikaze Minato did not hesitate, and immediately followed Jiraiya away. Just as the others were about to chase,
Sarutobi immediately turned around and stopped everyone. I thought about it for a while, since there are still national conferences, and people from all countries have come. Let's go after the drive. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face froze, and then he looked at the other three shadows and the leaders of all parties with a gentle smile and said with a smile. At this moment, the people around saw the cunning Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the others immediately cursed in their hearts, this cunning old fox. The ninjas of various countries who were waiting outside also immediately received the eyes of the leaders of the various countries, as well as the eyes of Kazekage, Wang Ying, and the movie. They understood in their hearts, and silently followed Jiraiya and Namikaze Minato. And Sarutobi Hiruzen saw this, but there was nothing he could do. He couldn't leave at the moment. If he left, they would face the siege of several cage levels. Back in the hall again, a group of big names from a small country were surprised to see a few people coming back, but they knew that this was not something they could interfere with, so they could only sit on this seat and wait honestly. Your Excellency Yagayu, I think we should have a meeting better. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat back in the chair, smiled and stared at the suspicious eyes around him, and said softly. Advertisement in response, Akira Yagayu also nodded. The meeting officially started, and everyone turned their attention to Sarutobi Hiruzen, but at this moment he had no idea to mention the trial of Akira Yagayu, otherwise Akira Yagayu would just say a word to end the meeting and lift the ban on fighting in the Holy Land. Then the other three will probably be the first to besiege him or rush out to kill Namikaze Minato Zero. In this way, the originally planned National Assembly was silent throughout the whole process, no one spoke, and everyone's eyes were fixed on Sarutobi Hiruzen. Akira Yagayu looked at the group of people and reacted with a smile, as if he completely ignored himself, quietly watching the intrigue of the group of people. No one could have imagined that Sarutobi Hiruzen was going to have a meeting against Akira Yagayu, and ended up getting himself into the game. Although the powerhouses of various countries really want to immediately attack Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others, this is the holy land of the world government after all. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of marines stationed outside and the surging artillery, just those various generals and the two women beside Akira Yagayu, and even the referee. They all make them feel that their strength is not weak, and they feel a little jealous. Time passed by minute, and soon it was getting dark. A group of people had been sitting in the hall for 5 or 6 hours. No one walked out of the hall, and no one even dared to go to the toilet. The eyes of several cage-level powerhouses swept each other, waiting for the moment when the other party moved. It's already dark. Do you want to continue? If you want to continue, feel free. I'm going out to eat first. Akira Yagayu glanced at the people who were still in silence for 1.3 minutes, yawned, and got up from the chair to attract everyone's attention, but after hearing Akira Yagayu's words, the group of people fell silent again and no one replied, very obviously intending to continue. Akira Yagayu didn't say anything else, and just left on his own. The members of the world government saw Akira Yagayu get up, and they all got up quickly and walked out after Akira Yagayu. The atmosphere inside was really cool. It was so depressing that they couldn't sit still for a long time, but no one moved, and they didn't dare to move casually. After the members of the world government left, the famous leaders of the small countries behind the other major countries also showed envy on their faces, not for others. Many people even clamped their legs to prevent their bladders from pouring out. Chapter 160 uses the Advanced World Recruitment Order again. Before long, a Marine general came to Akira Yagayu's room. His Royal Highness, the small countries have already dispersed, and the powerhouses of the other major countries are still there. I don't think they will be able to disperse in a while. It doesn't matter, let them go. Akira Yagayu smiled upon hearing the general's report. Akira Yagayu didn't want to participate in the battle between these old foxes, just let them do it themselves. Everyone, do you have to keep your eyes on me? In this hall, all the people in the room were staring at him with dull expressions, and Sarutobi Hiruzen finally couldn't help asking them. What is this? We want to send you but you don't agree, and you don't speak when we say we want to have a meeting. What should we do? Luo Sha looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and sneered. The old fox wanted to leave after eating, and they didn't want to come here for nothing. Obviously they didn't plan to let Sarutobi Hiruzen leave so easily. Then what do you think? Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath, suppressed your restlessness, glanced at a few people, and asked. Now, besides the 4 shadows, Hanzo of the Salamander and Mifune are still here. 6 people sat at the round table, and the other 5 were staring at Sarutobi 05 Hiruzen. You guys have to think clearly. It's not me who took out Op Fruit, but Akira Yagayu. Since he can take out Op Fruit and know that Op Fruit can help people live forever, he also took out this fruit. He must have a lot of secrets, or he doesn't care about the secret of longevity at all. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked like it was impossible, so he started citing other people's ideas and turned to Akira Yagayu. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's other words, people immediately sneered. Everyone is not a child. We understand what you think. We don't know what Akira Yagayu has, and we can't be sure. We will talk about what happens in the future, but this Op Fruit is absolutely impossible for you to be a family in the land of fire. Swallow alone. Advertisement Third Rakage sneered and said it directly, just like what Sarutobi Hiruzen said. They have been speculating. What secrets does Yagayu have? But at the moment at other people's house, they can't do anything to Akira Yagayu. They can only stop Sarutobi Hiruzen first with Op Fruit the family dominates. Mifune, tell me, does Akira Yagayu have a lot more? Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was gloomy and cold, and finally turned to Mifune, causing trouble to the east and letting Mifune answer this. I don't know what the world government has, anyway, it is impossible for me to get the things of their world government now. If you have the opportunity to change from the world government to other methods that can lead to longevity, remember to give me a cup of beauty. Mifune didn't understand what Sarutobi Hiruzen was thinking, and immediately rolled his eyes, pretending to be completely confused. You guys are starting to get cunning too. Sarutobi Hiruzen gritted his teeth, knowing that even Mifune couldn't help him in this situation, and looked at the people around him again. Otherwise, third Hokage, you take a step back, and we all take a step back to the shared op fruit resources. At this time, third Tsuchikage spoke. He seemed to be a good old man. He glanced at a few people, and then said gently. I think it's a good proposal. The others nodded and said in agreement. Shared op fruit. After listening to the words of several people, Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up on the spot. How could he be willing to share op fruit, not to mention op fruit was eaten by Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato is the only person in their entire Konoha who can use space ninjutsu Flying Thunder God, even if there is no op fruit is an absolute force in battle. If it is said that it is shared with everyone, he is absolutely unwilling. If you don't want to, we will only be running out of energy. If it's a big deal, let's grow old together in this holy place, or wait for your Konoha people to come out with a group of cage levels to save you. Advertisement. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen's reluctance, he said lightly, he is the youngest in the field, and he and this group still have time to waste, and it's a big deal that a group of people are all here to buy a cemetery for themselves in advance. Hearing Rose's words, the expressions of the others also changed, and he secretly said that this guy was thinking about it, and exhausted them all here. It's impossible for me to share Minato, but I can promise that after he develops the operation of immortality, he will perform a fishing operation for the country of fire, and the second operation will be performed by one of you, and the third operation will be performed for my country of fire, Konoha, the fourth time is you, and so on. Seeing that a group of people were really going to spend it with him, Sarutobi Hiruzen had to compromise, finally said in a low voice. Deal. The others nodded, and in the end they did not continue to force Sarutobi Hiruzen. Although some countries still disagreed with Sarutobi Hiruzen's decision, even if Sarutobi Hiruzen spent with them here, it was impossible to prevent the rise of the Fire Nation. Now, it's better for everyone to benefit from each other together, and maybe they can jointly control the country of fire in the future. Although the country of fire will eventually surpass them in combat power, if several of their countries unite to check and balance the country of fire, they will not be afraid. Everyone made this decision, and at the same time, Akira Yagyu also got the news immediately. After all, 210 is Akira Yagyu's territory. They can't escape Akira Yagyu's control. What they say here. Feedback was given to Akira Yagyu. Is this going to unite? Akira Yagyu watched the people on the screen through the projection on the video phone and finally reached a consensus. He sneered in his heart, murmured a word and ignored it. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the mission, unsettled meeting. Congratulations on getting the quest reward, Advanced World Recruitment Order 1. As the sound of the system fell, Akira Yagyu's backpack had an additional order for the recruitment of advanced world soldiers. The recruitment order gleamed and lay there quietly, as if waiting for Akira Yagyu's call. Looking at the recruitment order, Akira Yagyu couldn't help but think of the 3 advanced world recruitment orders that he had exchanged for the 3,000 prestige points obtained from the conquest of Hongzhou Island. None of them had recruited the high-end combat power that Akira Yagyu wanted, so Akira Yagyu was right. There is no hope in this advanced world recruitment order. After all, the world is so big, and the non-marine population in the pirate world is more than 1 billion. Ghosts know what kind of people will be summoned. Use the world recruitment order. Although he was not sure whether he could recruit useful characters, Akira Yagyu did not give up and chose the world recruitment order for recruitment. Chapter 161 Golden Lion Shiki. Ding. Consume 1 world recruitment order, and start recruiting now. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully recruiting Golden Lion Shiki. Name. Shiki. Title. Golden Lion Race. Human rank. None. ITFI. 18,000 abilities. Conqueror's Hockey, Advanced, Armament Hockey, Advanced, Observation Hockey, Advanced. Skills. Lion Majesty, Slash Wave, Lion, Thousand Slice Valley, Lion Majesty, Earth Coiling, Lion Majesty, Govern Place Earth Coiling. Weapons. Sakura 10, Wood Wither, the Great Pirate Golden Lion Shiki? Akira Yagyu was shocked when he heard the system's reminder. At the beginning, the legendary pirate who was as famous as Whitebeard and Roger once pushed Roger to a dangerous situation and challenged the naval headquarters alone. Any experience is enough to dominate the pirate world. Before long, the Golden Lion Shiki appeared in front of Akira Yagyu. I have seen your highness. The world has 2 knives pinned to his waist, a blonde hair hanging down to his waist, no rudder on his head, and his feet are still there. I didn't expect to recruit the pirates who were imprisoned before impelled down. This is the pinnacle figure comparable to the 4 emperors. Seeing Shiki's appearance, Akira Yagyu froze again, followed by a secret passage of information. Golden Lion, if you're here, it will be even more powerful for me, Marine. Looking at Shiki, Akira Yagyu quickly lifted him up, and then said with a smile. Hancock stood behind Akira Yagyu, followed Akira Yagyu to lift Shiki, and after sizing up each other carefully, the 2 nodded to each other. Your Highness is too polite.
it is an honor for Shiki to serve His Highness. Shiki immediately bowed and replied, daring not to be disrespectful to Akira Yagyu. Advertisement, His Royal Highness, all countries have left the Holy Land one after another, and our warships returning to Carden Island have also been prepared for a long time. At this time, Momoshiki came over from the outside, and then saw Shiki. His eyes were stunned. He nodded to Shiki, and then stood on the other side of Akira Yagyu. As Carden Island, the name can be changed later. Akira Yagyu nodded after hearing Momoshiki's report and said lightly. Momoshiki and Hancock were dumbfounded, but they didn't ask any further questions. Shiki, did you feel anything? Akira Yagyu frowned suddenly, looked at Shiki and asked. Just now, he felt as if he was being spied on, but when observation Haki was released, he couldn't notice the slightest abnormality. Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, Shiki, Hancock, and Momoshiki all had their faces dignified immediately, and released their observation Haki, but they also didn't notice any clues. Sorry, Your Highness, I don't feel anything strange. Shiki withdrew from observation Haki's perception. He just swept across the entire Holy Land, but found nothing strange. Both Hancock and Momoshiki finally looked at Akira Yagyu blankly. Is that so? Then let's go back to Carden Island. Akira Yagyu frowned, thought for a long time, and finally said. Following Akira Yagyu's instructions, all the Marines in the port in the direction of Kaden immediately acted, preparing to welcome Akira Yagyu's arrival and departure. The martial arts conference in the Holy Land is over, and many people are preparing to leave. All the ports in the Holy Land other than here are still densely packed with ships, and it is impossible for them to disappear in 3 to 5 days. Akira Yagyu's fleet has just left Kaden Island, and many countries have already traveled far. Except for those members of the world government, no country dares to get too close. Keep a distance, because the news of the surgery is too shocking, so that Third Reich also forgets the trouble of looking for Luo Sha. Although the major countries left first, Akira Yagyu was the first to arrive, which belonged to the country of water. Yagyu arrived at Kaden Island in only half a day. Has it all been arranged? Akira Yagyu came to the marine base building, glanced at the surrounding islands that have been drawn over and merged. The land area has far exceeded the Holy Land, and even the island of Kaden, which is comparable to a mainland, and asked. Reporting to Your Highness, everything has been arranged, and there will be no commotion. In front of Akira Yagyu, Vice Admiral immediately nodded and replied. That can begin. Advertisement. Akira Yagyu nodded and turned to Shiki. Yes. Shiki responded. The next moment, Kaden Island, which was already hundreds of kilometers long, suddenly shook violently. Because the people have been informed in advance, no matter what happens, don't panic, so the people of Kaden Island are just a little curious about what the Lord is going to do. Hey, sorry, I took you for an experiment without your consent. Try first to see if you can release ninjutsu. Very good. The original Kirigakure ninjas had never experienced such a situation. They suddenly supported the buildings around them, and then looked in the direction of the mainland in horror. Although the doctor next to him turned his back to Ching, he knew what he was surprised about and said directly to himself. Ching stared blankly at the 4 water flowers in front of him, quickly dissipating, and then continued to stare blankly at his palm. Hearing the scream, the doctor immediately laughed. Hearing the doctor's words, Ching didn't dare to hesitate, so please quickly raise 8 arms at the same time and wave your handprints at the same time. Hey, howling. As expected by His Highness, I, Hokage, are really a genius. Ching looked at the arm that had been cut off by himself before being installed. Ching was also excited, but then, Ching's eyes turned into fear. This, actually, unhindered flow of chakra, able to release 4 ninjutsu at the same time. No problem, Mr. Ching, I have put on a new arm for you. This doctor is none other than the genius surgeon who originally followed Gecko Moria in the world of pirates, Hokage. After the end of the Jipai handshake, 4 water lotuses quickly formed in front of him. Me, my hand? Water-style waterflower is handsome. In the violent vibration, in an operating room, with the doctor's voice falling, Ching turned over from the operating table and stood up. Ching's eyes at this moment are extremely terrifying, because he should have a pair of arms, but now he has 4 pairs of arms. Moreover, he can move freely when he is active. Chapter 162. The City in the Sky, the Sea Continent. Mr. Hokage, how did you do it? Ching hurriedly looked at Hokage in horror. He could feel the 8 arms he had been attached to, just like the ones he had grown. Whether it was pain or touch, he could clearly feel every time the bones moved. Shaoxi. I am the most talented surgeon in history. Of course there is no problem with this trivial matter. Don't put your hands behind your back. As long as you want, I can replace your head for you. When Hogbok heard Ching's question, he immediately laughed, obviously enjoying Ching's horrified feeling at this time. Change heads? How is that possible? Mr. Hogbok, you're kidding me. Ching was taken aback, but he had to pretend that he was bragging about the production of Cuban, and after speaking, he continued to look at his hands in amazement. How is it? Are you still used to it? This is just an experiment. If you are not satisfied, I will remove your arm for you. Hogbok watched Ching staring at his arm, and suddenly said another sentence, causing Ching's complexion to change suddenly, and hurriedly hugged his arms together. I'm used to it. It can't be better. I even thought that I could no longer have the ability to cast ninjutsu. You not only helped me get 213 on my arm,
but also gave me 3 more pairs. Now I can release 4 ninjutsu at the same time. It is not impossible to release different kinds of ninjutsu at the same time with a little practice. Ching excitedly said that even Jinchuriki couldn't do 4 kinds of ninjutsu at the same time. He had never heard of anyone who could do it, but just now, he himself released 4 ninjutsu at the same time. If he released it himself, anyone who told him he would never believe it. At this moment, Ching K was extremely precious for his arm, for fear that it would be demolished by Hogbok again. Hey, howling. Howling. Looking at Ching's nervous appearance, Hogbok laughed again, and the strange sound of the operating room caused the people outside to look sideways. No. Mr. Hogbok, how'd I feel? We seem to be floating upwards, what the hell is going on? Advertisement. At this moment, the vibration has disappeared. Ching looked out the window and Jing suddenly changed his face, and hurriedly asked Hogbok. That's right, we're floating up, AFBD, to be more precise, we're flying to the sky. Hogbok nodded to the puzzled Ching. Looking outside, the originally vast sea had disappeared from sight at this moment. Among them, he said softly. What? I'm flying to the sky. My god, I'm not dreaming, am I? The whole city of Hagia is flying. As soon as Ching heard this, he hurriedly ran out the door. At this moment, all the residents of the entire Strait City looked out, their faces full of incredulity. Go through the clouds and stop on top of them. If Marine had not told them in advance not to panic no matter what happened, they would have been screaming all over the place by now. His Royal Highness, we have now risen to a height of 8,000 meters above the sea. Do we still want to continue to rise? With Shiki's voice, Akira Yagyu looked outside. At this moment, the white clouds were already below the island, and the island was sunny and sunny. Everyone stared blankly at the white world outside. Any ninja aspires to have superhuman strength and can release 4 ninjutsu at the same time. This is something they can't even imagine. When they saw that Qingjun could use 8 arm seals to condense chakra and release ninjutsu at the same time, everyone's breathing became heavier, and countless people signed up enthusiastically. In the end, Qing chose some ninjas with thicker chakras for body modification. Reporting, Your Highness, the experiment of body modification on Qing's body has been a perfect success, and we can start to modify the body of other ninjas. Hancock and Momosagi looked outside, as if in a fairy tale, with a world full of clouds. They couldn't help crying out, and there was a little starlight in their eyes. Women are always hard to resist beautiful things. Very good, immediately speak to Vice Admiral Crane, and together with Qing, notify all the ninjas in the Sky City, recruit volunteers, tell them the news, and everything is voluntary. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Advertisement, from now on, this side will be called the City of the Sky. The section below the City of the Sky will be renamed the Sea Continent. The City in the Sky was created, and the section that could no longer be called an island was changed to a sea continent. At the same time, Hogbok also informed Akira Yagyu of the changes in Qing and the success of the experiment. So beautiful, after receiving the news, he quickly drew up a plan and sent letters to all countries in the world. Akira Yagyu finally said indifferently that the islands of all parties were brought together by Akira Yagyu with sea kings, and now they have a large scale, and the whole floats on the sea, called the Sea Continent. There is nothing wrong with that. Hogbok's voice came out through the phone bug, and everyone around was happy to hear it. Looking at the vast white sea of clouds around, Akira Yagyu knew that with the current technological strength of the Hokage world, unless the Six Paths family came out, no one would want to land on this island. Originally, the ninjas in Kirigakure were amused when they saw Ao suddenly grow a few arms, but when they heard that this was a body modification performed by Akira Yagyu, which could release 4 ninjutsu at the same time, all the ninjas went crazy. Akira Yagyu completely changed the name of Kaiden Island in one sentence. Hagia City, together with the original Kaiden Island, was renamed the City in the Air, and the land formed by the islands below with Kaiden Island as the center is also due to the area. Too large, renamed the Sea Continent. Yes, Your Highness, I'll go right now. Hogbok responded and immediately pulled Qing out of the operating room. Akira Yagyu nodded and immediately told Hogbok over the phone to make arrangements. At this moment, this place can no longer be called Kaiden Island. Akira Yagyu glanced around and said suddenly. Chapter 163 Chakra Origin Seeding Plan. 3 days later. The daimyo and leaders of various countries have all returned to their own countries one after another. And Namikaze Minato, the country of fire that made the most profit from the Holy Land Martial Arts Conference, was also isolated as soon as he returned to Konoha. At this moment, Namikaze Minato is like a protected animal, protected by all the ninjas in the whole Konoha, and Namikaze Minato will no longer be on the mission. The only thing he has to do is to master the ability of the surgical process as soon as possible and develop the ageless surgery. Everyone can understand what the immortality operation means. With the immortality operation, the strong Konoha will no longer be limited by birth, old age, sickness and death. It won't be long, just a few decades, then the countries that have been divided for thousands of years will be destroyed. Will become the territory of the Fire Nation. 2-3. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not report the operation of the ageless operation to the Fire Country Daimyo, but it did not affect the report of the surrounding small countries. The Fire Country Daimyo also ordered immediately, saying that he would have full authority to assist this side.
Eyeing Namikaze Minato, eyeing his op fruit, eyeing the ageless operation that has not yet been developed. At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not intend to let Akira Yagyu go. After returning to Konoha from the Holy Land, Sarutobi Hiruzen wrote letters to various countries one after another. This time, it was no longer a trial against Akira Yagyu, but a joint coercion. Forcing Akira Yagyu and the world government, and uniting countries directly to Akira Yagyu to force Akira Yagyu to hand over his military technology and all his scientific research results. Sarutobi Hiruzen's proposal was quickly responded by many countries, and even the Kingdom of Wind joined it. Although the Kingdom of Thunder was afraid of the explosive rock in Akira Yagyu's hands, if there was such a country, he didn't think Akira Yagyu was real. Can hold back so many countries. Your Highness, that's it. At present, several other countries have begun to put pressure on me, hoping to tell them the weaknesses of those generals on your side that Kitano discovered here. After confirming that the countries are about to form an alliance, Mifune's phone also called. All countries are no longer suspicious of Mifune, and even Kitano Ichiro has a lot less eyesight around him, but they all felt that Kitano Ichiro couldn't be unaware of those capable people. Weakness. Then tell them, even if you don't say it, they should already know. Akira Yagyu listened to the phone, nodded, and then said softly, the previous question about the ability of the people to be afraid of water has been known before in Kirigakure, the land of water, and I believe that it must have spread to the ears of various countries, Mifune said. Not to mention that it is meaningless, Akira Yagyu can be sure that this is a test of 3 ships by various countries to see if he will help him to hide his eyes. Yes, I understand. In response, Mifune hung up the phone bug, and Akira Yagyu was also lost in thought. After thinking for a while, Akira Yagyu got up and walked out of the office, bringing Hancock and Momosagi to the Marine Research Center again. Advertisement: the Marine Research Team has been transferred to study the Pluton blueprints, and now only the Vinsmoke family's research team, Guy and Orochimaru, remain. Your Highness, you are here, we really intend to inform you. Akira Yagyu had just entered the Scientific Research Center and immediately attracted the attention of Orochimaru and Guy inside, and the two hurried up to meet him. At the same time, Akira Yagyu also noticed that today's Scientific Research Center seems to be full of cheerful mood. His Royal Highness, let me tell you the good news, our research has been successful. So far, we have successfully cloned the source of chakra, and we have developed oral reagents that can directly inoculate Marine and the source of chakra. If you have the source of chakra, Marines will all be able to rally chakra to assist in battle. Guy ran over excitedly and said happily towards Akira Yagyu. Ding. Trigger side quests. Military upgrades, task requirements. Carry out chakra source implantation on no less than 100,000 Marines and generals, and the current task completion rate is 100,000 people. Mission reward. Pacifist PX0. As soon as Guy's words fell, the mechanical voice of the system immediately rang in Akira Yagyu's ears. Pacifist PX0. Seeing the mission reward, Akira Yagyu fell silent. Akira Yagyu wouldn't care if it was a normal pacifist, but this is PX0, he knows exactly what the PX0 model of pacifist means. This is one of Shichibukai's once transformed into a pacifist. He has all the abilities of a fruitball, and is a veritable weapon of war. Your Highness, what's the matter with you? Seeing that Akira Yagyu didn't speak, Guy was startled and called out. Advertisement. Well, I'm fine. Now that the research has been successful, mass production will begin immediately, and all Marines will be equipped in the shortest possible time. Akira Yagyu was alerted by Gaisaw, looked at Gaisaw, nodded, and said in a deep voice. Akira Yagyu then turned to Orochimaru again, how about those eyes? Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru and asked curiously. Reporting Your Highness, there are only some studies at present. We found that both types of eyes have a completely different genetic structure from ordinary glasses, and the gene chains and genetic factors inside are independent, because there is only one pair of white eyes, and they are all taken from one person. No further research can be done to determine. Orochimaru gave Akira Yagyu a salute and said respectfully. However, we have made some breakthroughs in the bloodwheel eye. It seems that there is a special gene in the bloodwheel eye that is not easily stimulated, but once the forehead is affected by strong stimulation, it will rapidly deform, and together with the creatures inside. The energy is starting to change as well. However, we still need to continue research on this, and if we can, we need to collect more blood-round eyes. Orochimaru thought for a moment and continued, is that so? Akira Yagyu nodded, raised his head, and glanced at the sky through the window. A huge moon seemed to catch Akira Yagyu's eyes. Chapter 164. Landing on the moon, exchange for Pluton. Looking out into the sky, Akira Yagyu was very ecstatic, and even more feelings in his eyes. Momosagi, help me inform Virgo and Kizaru, and let them go to the sand sea outside. Akira Yagyu suddenly looked away and gave Momosagi a command. Yes. In response, Momosagi quickly stepped aside and dialed the two's personal phone numbers one after another. His Royal Highness, Admiral Kizaru and Vice Admiral Virgo have been informed that they are now passing. Momosagi returned again, with the message, whispered, and stepped back to Akira Yagyu's side again. Guy, you immediately start mass-producing chakra origin implantation reagent, and by the way, start to try to research the chakra origin reagent for giants. Akira Yagyu nodded, finished speaking to Guy, and then turned his eyes to Orochimaru.
Most of Konoha's troops should be concentrated around Namikaze Minato now. I want you to return to Konoha with Tsuru and Crocodile. Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru and suddenly said in a deep voice. Back to Konoha. What do we need to do? Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, Orochimaru was stunned and asked unconsciously. Bring Might Dai back alive. In addition, collect as many blood round eyes and white eyes as possible. Baian and Shueluanyan can be used as Konoha's two top pupil eyes, not only because of their strange abilities, but also because of their evolutionary characteristics. Baian can combine the blood of the Otsutsuki family to evolve into Tensigan, and the legendary one Rinnegan, on the other hand, can be evolved from the fusion of the powers of Indra and Ashura using the Eternal Mangekyo Bloodwheel Eye as a medium. As far as Akira Yagyu knows about the Eternal Mangekyo Bloodwheel Eye, no one seems to have it, but this does not affect Akira Yagyu's continued research. Now Akira Yagyu can only put his mind at the top of the eye. Yes, Your Highness, let's go. Although he didn't understand why Akira Yagyu was so keen on ordinary white eyes and bloody eyes, Orochimaru agreed and walked out immediately. Advertisement. Let's go to the Sand Sea. Akira Yagyu finally looked at Shiki again and gave an order. Several people rose out of thin air and rushed towards the sea of sand in midair. On the way, they saw a golden flash and a blue lightning streak across the sky. It should be Kizaru and Virgo. Your Highness. As soon as Kizaru and Virgo landed, they nodded to each other and found that Akira Yagyu had also come over. It was the first time they saw Shiki. They introduced each other, and they looked at Akira Yagyu together. Your Highness, are you looking for us? Virgo looked at Akira Yagyu and asked. Nodding, Akira Yagyu did not immediately explain the purpose of his search for them, but sank into the marine mall. Current balance. 440 billion taels. Hongzhou Island is worthy of being a major trading country together with other countries in the world, and its economic strength is more than double that of the country of water. Exchange the Shenzhou Proverbs. Shenzhou Proverbs. A giant ship made of countless gold can fly with enough energy. Exchange requirements. 100.000.000.000. 100 billion taels. Successfully spent 100 billion taels to exchange for Shenzhou Proverbs. The next moment, a giant ship appeared in the Sand Sea in front of everyone. What a big ship, is the golden one all made of gold? Seeing the giant ship, Kizaru and the others were all stunned, and Hancock and Momosagi's eyes suddenly flashed with gold, and women's resistance to shiny things was obviously not enough. Akira Yagyu looked at the Shenzhou motto. Akira Yagyu glanced at his mouth. He didn't know if it was really made of gold, but the gold on it was definitely not worth 100 billion taels. Your Highness, this? Kizaru looked at Akira Yagyu and asked with some doubts. They didn't understand why Akira Yagyu got a boat into the Sand Sea. Shenzhou Proverbs, with Virgo's current strength, it should be enough to support this thing to go to the moon. I need you to bring me back. Advertisement. Akira Yagyu looked at the two of them, suddenly pointed to the sky and said softly. Moon. Several people were stunned. That's right, with the power of the two of you, and with this Shenzhou motto, you should be able to reach the moon safely. The descendants of the Otsutsuki clan above, I need their genetic blood. Nodding, Akira Yagyu continued. Yes. Now that Akira Yagyu had spoken, Kizaru and Virgo no longer hesitated and responded directly. Without any hesitation, the two of them took the motto directly, and Virgo used the ability of Thunderfruit to turn into countless thunders, and manipulated motto to leave quickly. According to Akira Yagyu's suggestion, they first flew to the direction of the Land of Thunder, intending to fly away from the Land of Thunder. The sky above the Land of Thunder directly broke through into space. Seeing that the two were driving Shenzhou motto to leave, Akira Yagyu took his eyes back. Blue. His Royal Highness, just now, all countries decided to send advanced troops to go to your side and negotiate with you first. Akira Yagyu's phone rang, and the sound of the 213 boats came out again. Akira Yagyu was stunned for a moment, and then relieved. That guy Luo Sha actually donated all the phone bugs he sold to him, but he didn't know how many others. What price has the country paid? Now that the other countries have formed an alliance, although they did not say it outright, according to the information sent back by Mifune, Akira Yagyu knew that those guys finally couldn't sit still. Akira Yagyu smiled slightly and looked at the balance of more than 300 billion in the information. Exchange. Ancient weapon Pluton Bruden. Ding. Successfully consumed 3,000 taels to exchange ancient weapon Pluton Bruden. As the balance number in Akira Yagyu's information column jumped, Akira Yagyu's inventory also showed a huge ship that was exactly the same as the blueprint Akira Yagyu got. It's impossible to rely on those guys to figure out the assembly by themselves, so help them. As an ancient weapon, you can't just find someone to make it with a blueprint. Knowing that several countries have formed an alliance, Akira Yagyu also knows that he can't wait for the scientific research team to study it by himself. The wealth, he now, decided to beat the countries in advance to make them more honest. Chapter 165 Lion Majesty Govern Place, Earth Coiling. Several major countries united, and the action was still very fast. The 4,000-strong ninja coalition led by Jiraiya, 20,000 elite soldiers, and a total of 40 warships came from the country of fire to the sea area of the sea continent. This is Carton Island. Why is it suddenly so big? On the battleship, the commanders from various countries looked at the boundless land rising from the sea in the distance and couldn't help exclaiming.
Hearing the exclamation, everyone looked at them subconsciously, all of them equally terrifying. What's the matter? Could it be that we have gone back to the country of fire again? Many people asked in disbelief, and all looked at the navigator on the boat. That's right. The direction indicated on the nautical compass is the east. How could we go back to the country of fire? The navigator also had a look of horror, and he had never encountered such a strange thing before. Don't say it, it seems that the news they sent is true. Jiraiya looked ahead and said lightly, he is the only person in this group with a phone bug. They spent hundreds of millions of taels to buy it from the land of wind. The news can be communicated in real time. When countries around the world know that Carton Island was suddenly renamed the Sea Continent, I was taken aback, but I didn't expect it to be true. Sea Continent, how did that guy do it? Looking at the boundless land ahead, Jiraiya took a deep breath and couldn't help saying. If someone wandered around East Blue at this moment, they would definitely find that the islands that were no longer scattered on the entire East Blue at this moment were all gathered into a vast continent. The person came, stop, there's the sea and the mainland ahead, who are you? Just as Jiraiya was about to move forward with the battleship, the seawater surged ahead, and dozens of thousands of sea kings emerged from the sea. Are these monsters? It was these things that wiped out the millions of troops in the land of water for a long time. Seeing that they were surrounded, everyone was immediately panicked. Advertisement looking at those big guys, Jiraiya was also surprised, but soon he noticed an ant-like figure standing above the head of the Sea Kings in front of him. Your Excellency, are you from Your Excellency Yagyu? We are here to discuss something with Your Excellency Yagyu on behalf of the coalition forces of various countries. Jiraiya looked at the blonde man standing on the head of Sea Kings, and shouted loudly. The voice passed through the panicked crowd, and everyone fell silent. Shiki looked at the group of people in front of him, his eyes were full of ridicule, he sneered, and took out an influence phone bug. The next moment, a 100-meter-high seawall rose in the sea. The slightest wave of water, like a piece of tofu cut from the sea, the influence of Akira Yagyu was projected on the blue seawall. Looking at the scene in front of her, Jiraiya was shocked, but Akira Yagyu didn't even give them a chance to get close to the port. Your Excellency Yagyu, I represent the coalition forces of several major countries. There are some things that need to be discussed with you. I think we need to have a face-to-face talk. Jiraiya looked at the projection and said loudly. Hearing Jiraiya's words, Akira Yagyu was unmoved. The other party had already come to threaten him, and he didn't bother to talk to the other party too much. Shiki, they're all stuck here, waiting to be redeemed by the people of the country behind them. Akira Yagyu gave a direct command to Shiki, and the image ended instantly. What? Seeing that Yagyu didn't give him a chance to talk at all, made Jiraiya's face turn aside again. Everyone is ready to fight. With a shout, the originally nervous ninjas and the army were all ready to fight, and various weapons were launched from the ship, many of which were advanced artillery. At the same time, all the ninjas also began to print their hands one after another, and the seawater was quickly mobilized to form a water dragon, and the water guns rushed towards the surrounding Sea Kings. Although those Sea Kings are big enough, they are still fleshy after all. 2,000 ninjas collectively released ninjutsu, many of them elite chunin. Ninjutsu from 2,000 to various sizes still caused those Sea Kings to suffer a lot of damage. You guys step back and let Lousy deal with them alone. Shiki looked at those Sea Kings, and felt an eyesore, snorted coldly, and flew out of thin air. Conqueror's Haki quickly released, and those Sea Kings were shocked and all quickly retreated from the sea. Advertisement suddenly, a coalition general pointed to the surroundings and shouted. Jiraiya looked at it subconsciously, and her face changed suddenly. Even over the entire sea area, the originally fluttering clouds were shaken away, and the entire sea area was completely in a still space. Lion Majesty. Govern place earthquaking. The mental shock just now made Jiraiya tremble in her heart. She looked at Shiki in awe, her complexion sank instantly, her hands folded together, and chakra began to mobilize the handsome man frantically. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. What? How is that possible? Is that a large-scale illusion? Around the battleship, several huge lion heads condensed by sea currents rose, all roaring and facing the battleship in the middle. Recalling the feeling of oppression that was like a giant mountain pressing on the top, no one wants to feel it again now, and everyone suspects that it was an illusion just now. In just an instant, more than half of the 24,000 coalition forces on the 40 battleships were overturned by Shiki's Conqueror's Haki and fainted, leaving only some strong and determined people who were still struggling. Support. 11 days. This guy. The momentum launched by Shiki quickly calmed the sea that was originally surging because of the Sea Kings, and the flag on the mast was quickly lowered, and the nearby sea didn't even feel the slightest sound of wind. On the battleship, all the coalition forces from various countries looked at Shiki in horror. Ah, everyone, looking down, Shiki sneered again. Shiki's Haki was only released in an instant, and it didn't last. The surrounding commanders and the coalition commanders woke up from the shock and looked at it well. All of them looked sluggish and said in disbelief. Chapter 166 Jiraiya's Sage Art. The 4 gigantic division heads condensed from the seawater are no smaller than the Sea Kings that came out before. What made the ninja coalition even more desperate was that the artillery fire and ninjutsu blasted into the heads of the lions, without the slightest impact, and even Ben couldn't hurt each other, and at most only splashed a splash of water. Humph.
Shiki snorted coldly, and the 4 huge lions shot down from 4 directions, as if 4 giant tsunamis hundreds of meters high came from 4 directions at the same time, with a surging momentum. The ninja coalition forces on board. He stared, his heart filled with despair. Boom! With a loud bang, all the lions swooped down, submerging dozens of warships. The ninjas released by the ninjas above had no effect at all, and all the follower warships sank into the ocean current. Heavy damage, but the 4 male lions submerged in the water and brought countless undercurrents under the sea that could easily tear people apart. After all, those ninjas could not escape the pulling of the undercurrents. In the water, they couldn't even speak, not the slightest scream. Suddenly, in the surging sea, a current rushed out, and a figure came out from it. Damn it! Jiraiya's face was full of anger, her hands clasped together, and she stared at Shiki in front of her through gritted teeth. On the shoulders on both sides of Jiraiya, there are 2.5 meters tall toads standing. Little Jiraiya, you seem to have provoked some serious people. Looking at Shiki floating in front of him, Immortal Fukasaku on Jiraiya's right shoulder sank and said in a low voice. That's right, little Jiraiya, who is this? The aura of this guy is too powerful. Although Shiki has not actively released Conqueror's Haki, the innate momentum of living in Conqueror's Haki still makes Immortal Shima and Immortal Fukasaku startle. Don't say it, this guy is the subordinate of the guy who killed the country of water, and he has just destroyed more than 20,000 coalition forces from so many countries. Jiraiya sullenly looked ahead, gritted his teeth and said, he even met Akira Yagayu through the projection, and was killed. How could he be reconciled? The country of water? The country of water has been destroyed? Immortal Shenzo and Immortal Jima were startled and looked at each other with some hesitation on their faces. Little Jiraiya, we advise you to get out of here quickly. Advertisement. After a moment of silence, Immortal Shenzo suddenly said solemnly. Escape? Jiraiya was stunned, a little confused. It's the prophecy of the great toad sage, you must flee quickly. Immortal Jima said in a deep voice, seeing that Shiki suddenly drew out the 2 sabers from his waist in front of him, he was startled and hurried to print. Do you think I can escape? When Jiraiya heard the name of Great Toad Sage, her heart tightened immediately, but the man with blonde hair in front was already rushing towards her, and her face also sank. What? Shiki looked at the 3 people who kept mumbling, and waited impatiently. Both of them held the long knives and swung violently, and the 2 sword chi instantly released from the blades, and rushed towards Jiraiya. Mom! Jiraiya's eyes were startled, and she quickly jumped from the waves. 2 sword chi cut through the rushing waves, as if they were on top of a pillar. Spreading out a little bit, as if being contained in an invisible container, Jiraiya screamed and hurriedly began to flee frantically on the sea. Coward! Seeing that Jiraiya actually started to flee, Shiki also sneered, AFBD, and quickly chased after him while flying in the air. Water-style big waterfall technique. At this time, Immortal Shima's ninjutsu was also ready. He turned his head in an instant, let out a low voice, and a huge waterfall instantly hung upside down behind Jiraiya, smashing towards Shiki, trying to stop Shiki's pursuit. What? Once again, 2 cold rays swept across the waterfall and were divided into an X shape, and quickly split into 4 halves, and spread out towards the surroundings. Shiki Shunji flew out from the gap in the middle. The waterfall was cut open. Immortal Jima was startled, and cried out with some abrupt eyes. What? Advertisement. Jiraiya was startled and looked back subconsciously. When the eyes of Jiraiya and Immortal Fukasaku fell on Shiki, they suddenly found that Shiki raised the long knife again and slashed towards Jiraiya's back. The silver blade gas above instantly burst into white brilliance. Little Jiraiya, hurry to the side to dodge. The 2 toads were heartbroken, and quickly let out a low roar. Jiraiya also saw Shiki's attack, and her heart tightened. Following the shouts of the 2, she immediately turned to the side without hesitation. At the same time, Shiki's sword energy has also fallen, and chopped on the sea. It is incredible that the thousands of feet of sea surface was instantly split in half by Shiki, and the bottom was separated all the way extremely deep, and it was impossible to determine the crack. How deep is the sea? Suck. The 3 of them couldn't help taking a breath of cold air when they looked at the cracked sea. No, I may need to trouble the 2 immortals to help me. Seeing that Shiki was chasing too tightly, Jiraiya knew that she could not enter Sage mode with her own abilities, so she said in a deep voice. We get it. Fukasaku and Shima also knew that there was no way to wait until Jiraiya entered Sage mode, so they immediately began to assist Jiraiya. Buzz. Suddenly, with the support of 2 toad sages, Jiraiya's body shook and immediately communicated with the power of nature. Entering Sage mode, Jiraiya's blindness immediately showed 2 blood-red incantations. After entering Sage mode, Jiraiya also stopped in an instant and turned to look at Shiki. It's about to start. With a low voice from Jiraiya, Immortal Fukasaku and Immortal Jima also nodded immediately, and quickly clapped their handprints. At the same time, Jiraiya and Immortal Fukasaku and Immortal Shima immediately puffed out their mouths. Sage Art Gomon. Chapter 167 Almost Caught. Jiraiya spewed toad oil from his mouth, while Fukasaku Senran used wind style, and Shima Senran used fire tongue, which both spewed out of their mouths. Immortal Jima's flame quickly ignited Jiraiya's toad oil, and then there was the blessing of Immortal Shenzuo's wind duct, and a surging sea of fire instantly burst out, overwhelming the sky and covering the ground, drowning Shiki. The surging sea of fire made Shiki's brows move, and when he lifted his body rose hundreds of meters, and then immediately in front of him, a sea of seafood rose hundreds of meters high, and the tsunami turned into several dark blue lions. He let out a silent roar, and then immediately rushed towards the sea of fire with the churning waves. Several huge lions swept the waves, directly pressing down the sea of fire, buried in the sea, and instantly diluted. The raging sea of fire disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Oops. Seeing that their sage art was not able to show any effect, Jiraiya and the three suddenly changed their expressions, let out a cry, and quickly turned around and fled again. You can't escape. Shiki looked at Jiraiya and said indifferently. Sakura Shi and Muku used two swords to form two crosses. The first cross quickly cut off the sea in front of Jiraiya's escape, and the second a cross knife gas also immediately cut off the sea behind Jiraiya. What? Jiraiya and their positions were isolated in a square area, and the expressions of the three Jiraiya suddenly change. Then, the surrounding sea water surged, forming a huge wall of water thick with white rice, enclosing Jiraiya, and at the top of the water wall, a majestic lion was opening its huge mouth and swallowing it downward. Boom! The lion descended, and the seawater in a radius of tens of kilometers seemed to be boiling, but Shiki's face was a little ugly. Let them run away, and if I knew it earlier, I would destroy them all and bring them back. Shiki frowned and said in a deep voice. Observation haki swept over, but Jiraiya was not seen at all. In the depths of Mount Myoboku at this moment, Jiraiya, Shima and Fukasaku all slumped on the ground, gasping for breath, all looking like they were still in shock. Advertisement, little Jiraiya, how did you provoke such a horrible guy? If you didn't send us back in time, and we used reverse summoning again, maybe we would all die there. Trying to calm herself down, Immortal Jima looked at Jiraiya and asked suspiciously. She didn't have time to ask about the emergency just now. It's not that I provoke him, it's the big countries that are eyeing the resources of the world government. Jiraiya gave a wry smile and explained, world government? Shima and Fukasaku were both stunned. The two old toads looked at Jiraiya in disbelief. When did this force emerge? That's right, world government. Speaking of world government, Jiraiya's face became more and more solemn. This is a newly emerging strength. It has a lot of weapons that far surpass all countries, as well as strange technologies. There are countless powerhouses. It only took a few months to destroy all the troops of the country of water. And swept all the forces of the entire East Blue. It is said that the third Mizukage and the six tails Jinchuriki of Kirigakure died in their hands, and Kirigakure had to surrender. Jiraiya told Shima and Fukasaku everything he knew about the world government. With more and more news, he couldn't believe that this was a force that a young man could do. The terrified old toad couldn't keep his mouth closed, and he was a little helpless. In other words, now the world government you mentioned has occupied the original land of water? After a while of silence, Immortal Fukasaku suddenly asked. That's right, to be precise, the entire East Blue, and even the Red State Island is now their territory. By the way, Immortal Jima, what do you mean by the prophecy of the great toad sage just now? Jiraiya sighed again, and then said lightly, suddenly remembering that Shima and Fukasaku were nervous to let themselves run quickly, and immediately asked in doubt. 0. Ask for flowers. Advertisement. I just didn't expect that Shiki couldn't keep that guy. Otherwise he might be able to keep that guy here and threaten Namikaze Minato. But then Akira Yagayu dismissed the idea. If the guy is not willing to stay here, rely on his scheming, must be a scourge. After a pause, Jiraiya looked at Shima and Fukasaku again and continued to ask. Then Great Toad Sage, did he have any other prophecies? For example, the Land of Fire? No matter what, we must inform Lord Hokage of the news of the total destruction of the coalition forces as soon as possible. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Shiki returned to Akira Yagayu's office, where Akira Yagayu was sitting at the moment, and immediately came to Akira Yagayu and replied. After thinking about it for a while, Jiraiya left Mount Myoboku in a hurry. You may not know that not long ago, the Great Toad Sage predicted that there would be people who would stir or even subvert the entire ninja world in the Land of Water. We thought it would take a long time, but we didn't expect it to appear so soon. When Akira Yagayu heard Shiki's words, he could immediately guess that it was Jiraiya who escaped. According to the original book, if Jiraiya didn't want more clues about pain, he could have left. Jiraiya was a little helpless. If he had known the news earlier, he would have stopped Sarutobi Hiruzen from fighting against the world government. Shima and Fukasaku ignored him and finally said seriously. His Royal Highness, let a white-haired guy escape with two toads. It should be Jiraiya and the two elders of Mount Myoboku. It's a pity. Shima and Fukasaku shook their heads and answered seriously. No, here. Jiraiya sneezed abruptly, rubbed his nose, and quickly took out the phone bug that Sarutobi Hiruzen had given him in his arms, dialed Sarutobi Hiruzen's phone number, and called him one by one. The Shiki who arrived, including the opponent's abilities, reported them all back. Factory. That's it. Chapter 168. Enter the Moon. Not long after, Seeing and Mifune appeared together at the former site of Kongyan Village in the Kingdom of the Sky, and beside them, they were accompanied by the former top 10 leader of the martial arts conference, Kongan. Are you sure you're here? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked in a deep voice, looking at the ruins of the former Kongyan Village. This is clearly the place that was destroyed by Konoha in the first place. It's here, I didn't expect it. When Yukona had destroyed our Kongyan village, you didn't think that there would be a day to ask us. Na Kong Ren sneered. Although he was controlled by others, he was not weak at all, especially knowing that these guys still have demands from Kongyan village. You guy. Hearing Nikuru's taunting, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face sank, wishing to kill him now. If it wasn't for the technological capabilities of 217, who arrived in the land of the sky, they need to jointly develop weapons against Akira Yagyu, and they would have brought them with them. People cleaned up here. Go and get your current leader out, we're going to talk to him. Luo Sha knew that if Sarutobi Hiruzen continued to speak, it would only become more and more confusing, so he simply interjected. He has seen Akira Yagyu's technological capabilities. If he hadn't considered that if he didn't participate in the alliance, he would likely be targeted by the surrounding countries, so he wouldn't run around with these guys. After hearing Luosha's words, Nikuru and Sarutobi Hiruzen gave up. At the same time, Shunjo proverbs quickly broke through the atmosphere and came to the outside of the moon. Kizaru and Virgo glanced at each other, glanced at the not very big moon outside, accelerated their power, and rushed directly into the moon. There is no half-figure here. After landing on the moon, Virgo said suspiciously after sweeping around. Since His Highness asked us to find the genes of people, it must be underground. Kizaru also glanced around and said lightly, underground? Virgo nodded, and countless thunders quickly sprang from his body, spreading out along the ground. Found it. Suddenly, Virgo said a word, and quickly jumped from the proverb and turned into thunder and rushed forward. Noisy at night. Advertisement. Seeing that Virgo disappeared in place almost instantly, Kizaru was also taken aback, and the next moment he turned into golden light and chased after him. The two came to a passage of money, glanced around, and quickly got in. This is... When the two had entered the moon, their expressions suddenly changed. Both of them were surprised by the scenery inside. It was different from the bare surface outside. There were mountains, people, forests, buildings, and what was even weirder was that there was something like a sun in the middle. It looks like this is a man-made world. After taking a look, he said seriously. To be able to create a world that can survive, I don't know what kind of strength the people here have. Intruder. Just as the two were looking around, a low voice came from the side. Hearing the sound, Kizaru and Virgo turned around and saw a group of people in black with masks appearing on the side, and there was a circle of golden light balls arranged in a ring around their bodies. What? Roar. What? Before the two could speak, the countless golden light balls shot towards them quickly. It's rude. Kizaru shook his head and instantly disappeared into a golden light. When they reappeared, they had already come to the side of the people in black, and the golden light balls beside the people in black were still flying forward, as if they didn't notice that Kizaru had come to their side. Boom. Boom. A series of voices followed, and the men in black were all kicked to pieces, and tattered parts fell out. And those golden balls of light continued to shoot forward. Boom. Advertisement. It brought a series of explosions, causing the ground under his feet to shake. They're all puppets. Looking at the parts, and at the men in black who had been cut in half by him, Kizaru said in surprise. Before Virgo could speak, an alarm sounded in the distance. Immediately afterwards, in the forest and town in the distance, hundreds of people in black just like the one just now were taken out densely, and they jumped in the forest to gather here. At the same time, hundreds of people in black riding black birds flew out from the sky. A lot. These are puppets. Kizaru marveled at so many puppets. Virgo, who was next to him, did not speak, but only a blue thunder light appeared on his body. Million volts thunder prison. Virgo let out a low voice. The thunder on his body was quickly used, and the mountain in front suddenly turned into a sea of thunder. At the same time, the sky is also condensed by countless thunders, constantly stirring. Countless thunder snakes moved, and the black-clothed puppets instantly burst into black smoke and were ignited directly. The black birds in the sky and those black-clothed men were like crashed planes, blowing black smoke and falling into the surging thunderpool below. There are intruders. In the castle, a man with his eyes closed suddenly got up and turned towards Kizaru and Virgo with his eyes closed. The man's voice fell, and countless forehead protectors carved a moon on their heads. The same puppets as before were like a swarm of bees, rushing out of the castle densely. Ah, it's really not over. Kizaru glanced at the front, and suddenly there were countless puppets like dark clouds, and said leisurely. When the voice fell, Kizaru instantly turned into a photon and leapt into the air, and countless dots like stars suddenly gathered around his body. 8-foot Changgu Jade. In an instant, those light bullets all moved, and they escaped from the surroundings of Kizaru, and quickly flew towards the puppets. And those puppets also seemed to have foreseen the danger, and the whole body quickly also lit up with golden light bullets, and shot them in the direction of Kizaru. Countless light bullets will interlace each other, and the whole world will be illuminated into gold. Chapter 169. With the help of the power of Tiancheng Eye. The golden light bullets condensed by countless puppets shot each other in the sky with the golden light bullets formed by Kizaru's 8-foot Changgu Jade. The advantage of the number of people makes them no weaker than the density of Kizaru's light spots, but the light bullets of the puppets penetrated after touching Kizaru, and they can't affect Kizaru at all. They can shoot through several of their silhouettes and cause a series of damage. The stumps of countless puppets were quickly ignited by the friction of the light bombs, and black smoke rose up from their bodies, and some were quickly ignited in midair, turning into flames and burning. Almost in the blink of an eye, The immeasurable number of black-clothed puppets were shot down by Kaizuka's light bullets, and a blank area was cleared in an instant. However, the black-clothed puppets in the castle seemed to be in a steady stream, and they rushed out in the next moment, quickly filling the vacant part that had just been shot down. Huh? Trouble. Kizaru looked at so many puppets, pouted, and said something helpless. Immediately afterwards, I saw his hand stretch out his index finger, and I saw a golden light ignited towards the front of O5. Miss shot. Kizaru murmured, and the golden light on his finger instantly turned into a golden branch line. After piercing through countless black puppets, it crashed into the ground. Boom. The branch line driven by the golden light spot sank into the ground and exploded instantly, like a nuclear explosion, and the entire interior space of the moon was shaking violently. Inside the castle, the man with his eyes closed also seemed to feel the fierce battle outside, and his expression changed slightly. Then I saw the man get up, and the ground under his feet quickly rose, suspended together with the seat, and flew towards the outside. And behind the seat behind him, there is a stone ball like an eye, and the pattern of a sun is also engraved on it. As the man appeared, the puppets stopped and retreated. Seeing this, Kizaru and Virgo also stopped and looked at the man who was rapidly floating in front of them. Intruder, I am the patriarch here, Otsutsuki Yuto, are you from Earth? Although Otsutsuki Yuto closed his eyes, he seemed to have opened his eyes. With his own way, he was able to clearly determine the direction of the two of them. He saw the direction of the two and asked lightly. Advertisement, yes, we are. Earth people, I don't care how you came here, please leave here immediately, you are not welcome here. Before Kizaru could finish speaking, Yuto Otsutsuki suddenly said in a cold voice. It's really impolite. Kizaru looked at each other. Eyes widened, as if surprised at the other party, then raised his finger towards the direction of his chest, the fingertips lit up with golden light. What? Before Kizaru could speak, the stone ball behind the man instantly released golden light, drowning Kizaru's entire body. The powerful golden light not only engulfed Kizaru's figure, but also shot onto the mountain wall behind. Boom! With a roar, the entire mountain wall was shot through, revealing the dark universe outside and the blue planet in the distance the Earth. What? Virgo was shocked and immediately looked at the other party seriously. Yeah. It's been a long time since the fighting on the Earth, and the fire of war has actually burned to the moon. You guys hurry up and leave here. Earth people are not welcome here. We will destroy the Earth according to the requirements of our ancestors. After Otsutsuki Yuto solved Kizaru, he turned to Virgo and continued to speak in a low voice. Yes. Virgo snorted coldly, his fist was instantly wrapped by lightning, and then the whole person also turned into lightning. 30 million volts Thunderbeast. Virgo let out a low voice, turning into a thunderwolf and roaring towards the man. But the next moment, Virgo's face became a little ugly. A golden light appeared around Otsutsuki Yuto, blocking Virgo's thunder, and the source of that light was still the stone ball behind Otsutsuki Yuto. I used the power of Tiancheng-I, you can't beat me, since I'm obsessed, I'll bury it here. Advertisement Otsutsuki Yuto still closed his eyes tightly and said lightly to Virgo. Immediately after that, the stone ball behind him shot out a beam of light that was very fast, piercing the entire piece of Thunderbeast directly. With an explosion, the flames quickly devoured Otsutsuki Yuto, and then the billowing smoke quickly dissipated, but Otsutsuki Yuto was not injured in the slightest. Laser. You're not a ninja, who the hell are you? Although the beam of light just now didn't hurt him, he didn't seem to be able to help this man. Otsutsuki Yuto quickly turned around, looked at Virgo, and asked in surprise, even if Virgo was injured, he seemed to be able to investigate clearly, with a stunned expression on his face. Are you all right? A steady stream of energy? Kizaru's voice came from a distance, and then Kizaru flew over quickly, looking at Otsutsuki Yuto indifferently. Suddenly, on the side of Otsutsuki Yuto, Kizaru's voice sounded again, and then a golden light shot towards Otsutsuki Yuto at a high speed. Otsutsuki Yuto continued to speak after being surprised by Kizaru for a while. And Otsutsuki Yuto also faced Kizaru, and the two seemed to be colliding with each other. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. As I said, you can't hurt me, and I don't seem to be able to hurt you. I don't know how you do this, but I can use the power of Tiancheng-I, then I will have a steady stream of you'd better get out of here quickly. The Thunderbeast reformed into a ball of lightning and quickly pushed away, turning into the appearance of Virgo. What? Otsutsuki Yuto looked surprised, looked at Virgo, and asked in a deep voice. But Virgo didn't answer, just looked at that Otsutsuki Yuto, secretly thinking about how to kill this guy. Boom. Like Virgo's attack before, Kizaru's attack was also blocked by the light from the stone ball. Chapter 170 Return to Earth, I warn you again, get out of here. Facing Kizaru's spark-like appearance, Otsutsuki Yuto snorted coldly. Are you afraid of something in such a hurry to drive us away? Hearing Otsutsuki Yuto's words, Kizaru said with a smile again. After finishing speaking, the golden light lit up again on Kizaru's hand, the palm of his hand smeared over his right hand, and a golden long sword appeared in Kizaru's hand. Hearing Kizaru's words, Otsutsuki Yuto's expression suddenly sank. I didn't expect this guy to find out his concerns. Although he was able to use the power of Tiancheng-I through a special medium, he was only able to use it in the end. There was still a limit. Stubborn guy.
With a cold snort, the stone ball behind Otsutsuki Yudo released golden light again and shot it towards Kizaru. This time, with preparation, Kizaru looked at the rushing beam and stabbed directly with his lightsaber. The two quickly collided, and a strong golden light burst out from the collision. In contrast, the central sun, it looks extremely dim, and the entire moon-hard world has become a golden color. What's even more terrifying is that those golden rays of light are more like materialized energy bodies, piercing everything around them, and the young leaves on the grass and trees below all dissipate under the light in an instant, then the tree trunks, and finally only the bare leaves are left. The ground, originally a piece of heaven and earth with beautiful mountains and rivers, quickly turned into a barren land. Crack. Not good. Suddenly, the stone ball behind Otsutsuki Yudo slammed into a tendency, and a tiny crack quickly appeared on it, which made Otsutsuki Yudo's complexion suddenly change. Effective. Seeing Otsutsuki Yudo's face changing suddenly, Kizaru became more certain of his thoughts. Crack. Damn it. The voice behind him sounded again, and Otsutsuki Yudo also felt that the light emitted by the stone balls behind him was a little weaker, and his face became even more ugly. As the cracks continued to appear, the sound also rang in Otsutsuki's ears, making Otsutsuki's complexion change again and again. Finally, the stone ball seemed to have reached its limit, and finally could not support such a huge continuous output, and there were cracks all over it. Wow, gas. Advertisement with a crisp sound, the strong light on the stone ball instantly dissipated. Oops. Boom. The place where the strong light collided with Kizaru instantly exploded with a terrifying impact, and Otsutsuki Yudo was directly swept away. Boom. Cough, cough, cough. Otsutsuki Yudo flew upside down and crashed into the castle. Blood spilled from his mouth and nose instantly, although he was not executed with the only remaining energy of Tiancheng eyes, but his bones were shattered, and he was reduced to a crippled. There is no more resistance. You. Who are you? Looking at Kizaru and Virgo, who turned into light beams and lightning from a distance, Otsutsuki Yudo turned pale and asked. You'll find out later. Kizaru glanced at the other party and said indifferently, even if he told him that he was from Akira Yagyu, he would not know. What exactly do you want to do? Seeing that Kizaru was not going to answer himself, Otsutsuki Yudo continued to ask. Glancing at the other party again, Kizaru still didn't answer. Suddenly, in the depths of the castle, there was a faint cry of a baby, which made the face of Otsutsuki Yudo, who was originally appointed, change again. Sorrow. Otsutsuki Yudo saw that Kizaru and Virgo were both heading to the castle, and his heart sank suddenly. Hearing the cry, Kizaru observation haki instantly swept away, and the entire underground world was almost shrouded in his perception. There are still many people, but they have all become puppets, only one little guy is still alive, you can bring it here. Kizaru looked back and said something lightly, wait, stop, what are you trying to do? As expected, Kizaru still had his eyes on Shido, who was not yet 1 year old, and Otsutsuki Yudo immediately became nervous. Advertisement here, just the two of you living, don't you think you'll be alone? We'll bring you all back to Earth. A light flashed in Kizaru's eyes, and then looked at Otsutsuki Yudo and said. Go to Earth. Otsutsuki Yudo suddenly, not long after, Virgo carried the baby girl in his left hand, followed by a kind of puppet maid behind him, carrying Otsutsuki Yudo, who was completely immobile. You came here from the Earth on this thing? How is this possible? Looking at the Shunjo motto in front of him, Otsutsuki Yudo immediately guessed that Kizaru and Virgo came directly from space, and his face instantly became strange. No, Sharon can't go back with you like this, he will die outside. Seeing several people walking towards Shunjo motto, Otsutsuki Yudo immediately screamed, but no one paid any attention to him. I know that there is a place that can reach the Earth very quickly, and we can pass there in the shortest time. Seeing that the two of them ignored him at all, Otsutsuki Yudo shouted with all his strength again. Say earlier. After Otsutsuki Yudo's voice fell, Kizaru and Virgo immediately stopped, and Kizaru turned around and said with a weird smile. I can help you return to Earth safely, but you have to promise me that I must keep Shuren, he is still young, so that our family's last bloodline. Otsutsuki Yudo looked at the two seriously and said Shen in a deep voice. You can tell your highness this, we are only responsible for bringing you back to your highness. Kizaru shrugged and did not agree to Otsutsuki Yudo's request. Your highness? Otsutsuki Yudo's expression changed, but he had no choice but to compromise. In the mountains behind the castle, there is a lake tunnel that can lead directly to the Earth, and there is our puppet submarine there, which can take that directly to the Earth. Taking a deep breath, Otsutsuki Yudo murmured, although most of the time they use a special method to bring their own wool to the Earth to observe the changes of the Earth, and other things are done by puppets, but it is inevitable that they have to go to the Earth. When the time came, they prepared submarines. After all, not everyone could be like those puppets without breathing in the water. Originally, he also wanted to allow the young Shuren to reach the Earth safely, but he did not expect that Kizaru and Virgo would shine in their eyes. Otsutsuki Yudo never imagined that these two would be able to defeat all his defenses. Land ducks that can't swim. Chapter 171 Pacifist PX0 in Marine Academy. There are systematic teaching and training venues. Akira Yagyu simply transferred his training venue to Marine Academy. With the addition of Akira Yagyu, the trainees who had been complaining a lot under the brutal training of the ruthless instructors, one by one,
overcompleted the training tasks assigned by each instructor as if they had been beaten. How about this group of students? Is there anything that can attract your Zephyr's special attention? With a whistle, everyone rested. Akira Yagyu was no exception. He took a pot of warm water from Momosagi and poured it directly on his head. Then he took the towel from Hancock. He saw the whistle coming to him. The Marine Academy chief instructor Zephyr asked aloud. Although the foundation of these people in this world is very poor, after the people of Kirigakure joined chakra purification and cohesion teaching, coupled with the teaching method of Marine Academy, it has doubled their physical fitness and strength, and many people have already with the potential to become a vice admiral. As for the potential of an admiral, apart from those two little girls, I haven't found one yet. Zephyr looked at the students who were in full swing, and the ninja replied, when it came to Yu and Shui, there was a bit of heat in his eyes, and the two little ghosts really far surpassed the others. I haven't found anyone with the potential to become an admiral yet. Hearing Zephyr's words, Akira Yagyu was also silent for a while. He didn't expect that no one of the geniuses in the entire East Blue could become admiral. But this is not absolute. After all, there are many things in this world that can immediately improve people's strength. If there is that opportunity, it is not impossible for people with the strength of vice admiral to directly surpass admiral. Zephyr looked at Akira Yagyu, who also learned more about the world during this time, and continued to comfort him. Akira Yagyu nodded silently. He understood what Zephyr meant, and if he didn't say anything else, Tensigan, Rinnegan, just one, if they could grow up, they were all immeasurable existences. Blue blue blue. AFBD. At this time, Akira Yagyu's phone worm rang. Crack. Via Wojila, report to your highness, the last batch of chakra source reagents have been distributed to Marine. At present, we are trying to increase the dose to try to carry out the chakra source inoculation experiment on the giants. Wailuolojo. Advertisement guy's weird laughter came out through the phone bug and then said quickly. Very good, continue the research, and then assist the Orochimaru and Vinsmoke teams to see if the special genes contained in those two pairs of eyes can be copied. Yagyu said in a deep voice that he always had a hunch that those white eyes were given to his research department. That, your highness, this is another piece of news that I want to report. Those white eyes have now been destroyed and have no value for use. Guy's embarrassed voice sounded, making Akira Yagyu's heart sink. It really is the caged bird of the Hyuga family. It seems that if you want to continue the research on the white eye later, you must have the eyes of the Hyuga clan. Akira Yagyu knew in his heart that the Hyuga clan inherited the white eye pupil technique of the Sage of Six Paths of the Otsutsuki clan. As a white eye in Konoha, its status is even higher than that of the Bloodwheel eye. Whether it is the Konoha or the Hyuga clan, it will never be white eyes are allowed to wander outside, so all the people in the branch house will plant the caged bird spell on their eyes at birth, and destroy the white eyes in time to avoid falling into the hands of those who care. This is also because the peace that has gone through for too long has left the Hyuga clan unprepared. If they had dealt with it long ago, it is estimated that they would not be able to wait for Orochimaru to bring the eyes back and they would be directly destroyed by the sect patriarch who activated the curse. Of course, it may also be the Hyuga clan who did it deliberately. They are waiting for the unsuspecting Akira Yagyu to implant their eyes in their own body or the body of a strong person, and then start the caged bird, then the implanted person will also be there. Died the first time. Akira Yagyu is even more convinced that it is the latter. Akira Yagyu can be sure that if Sarutobi Hiruzen kept colliding with his own eyes when he was in the Holy Land, it should be to determine whether the white eyes were implanted by himself, but Sarutobi Hiruzen and the Hyuga clan did not expect. With so many scientific research teams, he can continue to conduct research while maintaining the vitality of his eyes. Just when Akira Yagyu was thinking about it, the system's mechanical beep sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to host for completing the mission. Military upgrade. Task requirements. Carry out chakra source implantation for no less than 100,000 Marines and Generals, and the current task completion rate is 120,000 people. Get mission reward. Pacifist PX0. Different from those generals recruited and different from ordinary pacifists, as Akira Yagyu's mission is completed, Pacifist PX0 appears in front of Akira Yagyu in an instant. Advertisement name. Pacifist PX0, Bartholomew Kuma. Title. Violent Coon Race. Transforming Humans rank. None. Dao Strength. 7,200 abilities. Armament Hockey, Intermediate, Observation Hockey, Beginner. Skills. Laser Laser, Super Combustion Laser Laser, Shooting Fly, Space Transfer, Pressure Cannon, Pushing Pressure Cannon, Yin Healing Bullet, Bear's Paw Impact. Weapon. None. Pacifist PX0, met His Highness. PX0 knelt down on one knee in Akira Yagyu, and then stood up slowly. His eyes were blank, and his face had no emotion at all. Except for the ability to retain the meatball fruit, he looked like an ordinary pacifist. Not much difference. I noticed that your highness is tired. Suddenly, PX0 looked at Akira Yagyu and muttered something. Then suddenly raised his hands. Yin Healing Bomb. Immediately afterwards, a dim translucent red bear's paw passed through Akira Yagyu, and Akira Yagyu's fatigue from the training just now disappeared without a trace. Chapter 172 The Pursuit of the Country of Fire. These bastards from Konoha, didn't they just take a few pairs of Sharingan and white eyes? They don't need it. Why do they keep chasing and killing us like this?
Crane, Crocodile, and Orochimaru were actually fleeing in the country of fire, and there was a servant beside them, who was their main target, Might Day, and what Might Day said just now. At this moment, the others were running and looking at the Crane. Vice Admiral was extremely strange. This guy was too strong. Might Day was actually brainwashed by him when he saw him, and he didn't even put on a defensive expression. Especially Orochimaru, secretly glad that if he was so brainwashed by the Crane, he might as well die. Crane Vice Admiral didn't seem to see it, directly ignoring the eyes of Orochimaru and Crocodile, just followed a group of people and quickly fled into the distance. Have you spoken to His Highness? We have now been discovered by the people of the Land of Fire, and they are chasing us. Crane Vice Admiral glanced at a few people and asked suddenly. I've talked about it, His Highness said that he will send someone to support us. Crocodile nodded and waved his hand back. The ground turned into a piece of sand, and at this moment there were thousands of Konoha shinobi chasing after him. Although they are not afraid of only 8,000 ninjas, but this is the Land of Fire after all, they are not sure what else is hidden in the Land of Fire, especially because after the original Kirigakure joined, the marine people also learned from the mouths of those Kirigakure ninjas. Arrive. The Uchiha clan in the country of fire, their blood wheel eyes are extremely strange, and there are many illusion ninjas in the country of fire, although they do not know if they can resist illusion, but they do not dare to try it easily. After all, the chakra in this world, the power is just too weird. Even if you die, others can get secrets from you. Quickly fight, kill this group of people first. Glancing at the ninja behind him, Vice Admiral Suru sighed, thinking that he would quietly bring back a few pairs of eyes. Unexpectedly, it was still discovered, and now I can only kill the chasing ninja first, trying to find a way to return to the sea continent. It's long overdue. Crocodile sneered. If it wasn't for the old lady Crane who kept yelling to be cautious and go back quickly, he would even use Sandstorm directly on Konoha's side. Arost Samsara. Advertisement. Crocodile pressed down on the ground with one hand, and the wet forest disciple quickly dried up and turned into sand, while the grass and trees within a radius of more than 10 kilometers all began to turn yellow, and the river was even dry and cracked, merging into sand. In an instant, the nearby mountains and forests turned into a yellow ocean. Sand Hill. With a wave of Crocodile's hand, a hurricane of yellow sand quickly broke away from Crocodile's palm, continuously absorbing the surrounding yellow sand and becoming larger, spreading forward. Not good. Everyone disperse. The chasing ninja saw the hurricane that suddenly appeared in front of him, his face changed suddenly, and he quickly exclaimed. Thousands of ninjas quickly dispersed, and they also quickly raised their handprints. Prepare wind-style ninjutsu. One of them, Anbujanan, who was wearing a mask, snorted lowly and quickly waved his handprints, and a strong wind quickly formed in front of him. But before his ninjutsu was released, the sand behind him suddenly turned into a figure. Puff! An arm quickly grabbed the back of his neck, followed by a golden sting that pierced his body, making his complexion change. I looked down at the one who had been dyed red with my own blood as I passed through my chest. Poison, and then the water on the body was instantly lost, and all the figure in the eyes suddenly lost, and the whole person instantly turned into a dry corpse. The others also reacted immediately, and countless ninjutsus were thrown towards this side, and Crocodile directly returned into sand, and countless people slammed into that Anbujanan's corpse, tearing it into countless pieces. Afterwards, the hurricane was also rolling in the sand, and some Chunin who had just advanced to the level had no time to dodge, and were directly swept in by the strong wind. Some people tried to escape, but the sand on the ground seemed to come alive in an instant, turning into a tentacle that wrapped around the legs of the Konoha shinobi. Those ninjas who wanted to escape on the hurricane's track were bound in place, and the next moment they were sucked into the hurricane. When the hurricane swept over, more than 100 ninjas were swept away by the hurricane and torn apart. 0. Ask for flowers. Everyone, be careful not to touch the sand on the ground. The expressions of the other two ninjas who were chasing also changed, and with a low voice, they quickly jumped up to the dry tree next to them. Unexpectedly, a face-to-face meeting has already caused oneself to lose a Jonin. Advertisement. The two are none other than Hyuga Heishi, the head of the Hyuga clan, and Uchiha Fugaku, the head of the Uchiha clan. Seeing the movements of the two, the other ninjas did not dare to be vague, and immediately jumped on the dry tree trunk, and quickly continued to chase through the flashes between the trunks. Looking at those ninjas, Crocodile sneered more, and sank his hands into the sand. Sand gun wait. 0. Crocodile whispered. In the range of 2 kilometers in front of him, countless sands were found from the ground like long spears. Each spear was nearly 10 meters long, penetrated into the sky, and then quickly disintegrated into yellow sand. Some unlucky the middleman was directly pierced through his body from the bottom to the top, and he was dead when he fell to the sky. A burst of yellow sand guns stabbed out, and the Konoha shinobi team, who had already sacrificed more than 100, was reduced by nearly 100 again. Prepare for water. Everyone uses water style. The ability of these guys should be afraid of water. Seeing that the people on his side suffered heavy casualties, and they had not been able to touch each other even a little bit, Uchiha Fugaku immediately shouted, his eyes immediately turned blood red, and there were hooks on them that quickly turned. Water style big waterfall technique. Water style water dragon bomb technique. Water style water gun stab. For a time, countless water style ninjutsus filled the entire sand. Although Crocodile could quickly absorb the water in the sand, hundreds of ninjas continued to release the water, making it impossible for him to attack again.
Summoning summons technique. Seeing this, Orochimaru immediately formed a seal, and a large snake appeared in front of him and burrowed into the forest. In a blink of an eye, several ninjas were crushed into the sand and reduced to corpses. It's the summoning beasts of Orochimaru, those damn bastards of the world government. Seeing Orochimaru in the distance, Hyuga Heishi cursed, "Factory." Chapter 173 The Array of 10,000 Snakes. Hyuga Heishi flew to the lead of the big snake and landed directly on the head of the big snake. Ah! The serpent summoned by Orochimaru spit out letters and was very annoyed at the Hyuga Heishi on his head, and rolled his body, trying to knock Hyuga Heishi down. Humph! Hyuga Heishi snorted coldly, the blood vessels on both sides of his eyes suddenly bulged, his white eyes were opened, and he looked at the big snake below. Robust double lion fist. Hyuga Heishi's hands and chakra gathered together to form two lion heads that were just hitting, and with a roar, Hyuga Heishi slammed his fist down and hit the big snake's head at the same time. Boom! With a loud bang, the big snake's head was smashed down instantly, and he died on the spot. Not noon has Chen Child Ugly Yin 22, Fire Dragon Firebomb. Orochimaru saw that the big snake that he had come out of summoning was killed directly by Hyuga Heishi, and he also quickly slapped his handprints, and then a burst of flames suddenly spewed out of his mouth, rushing towards the already withered forest in front of him from 3 directions. Mouth. The water traces left by water-style ninjutsu in a beach in the forest were quickly evaporated under the high temperature of the flame, and the sand and soil quickly dried. As soon as the trunk of the tree touched the flame, it instantly turned into a sea of fire. Get out now! Seeing that all the trees in front of them had melted into the sea of fire and were still spreading rapidly towards this side, Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Heishi shouted and quickly dispersed, and at the same time, they continued to prepare for water-style ninjutsu. Lone Moon Sand Dunes. Just as Konoha's ninja flew back, a strange sense of crisis suddenly appeared in his heart. Boom! The next moment, the flames suddenly became boiling, and an arc-shaped slash of yellow sand condensed from the inside, cutting it horizontally. Puff! Advertisement. The sound of being chopped off continuously. There are trees, there are ninja bodies, as long as they are swept away by the arc-shaped sand blade, they will all be turned into 2 halves. 8 trigrams revolving heaven. Seeing the sand blade slashing towards him, Hyuga Heishi bent his legs slightly, put his arms on both sides, stared at the sand blade in front of him, and the chakra of each acupuncture point on his body was quickly released to rotate at a high speed, forming a semicircle. Chakra shield. Humph! The menacing sand blade collided with Hyuga Heishi's revolving heaven, and it was already running out of strength, and it dissipated directly into yellow sand. Chunin should be at the back, everyone above Chunin will come with me. Looking ahead, the flames have been organized by the ninjas with water style, Hyuga Heishi said, and then rushed forward first. Then Uchiha Fugaku followed by 20 or so elite Chunins and a few special Jonins. Why are you the only ones? Are the rest dead? Watching Hyuga Heishi and Uchiha Fugaku rush in with a group of people, Crocodile, who was about to leave, sneered and said disdainfully. Other people are also preparing water style. Fugaku, let's go. Looking at Crocodile annoyed, Hyuga Heishi said in a deep voice. The next moment, he and Uchiha Fugaku rushed over quickly. I'll take care of those in the way. The Crane Vice Admiral, the other one may need your help. Orochimaru's slender snake head licked his lips, and after speaking to the Crane Vice Admiral, he looked at the Chunin and the special Jonin with a cruel smile. It's not that Orochimaru doesn't want to deal with Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Heishi together with Crocodile, but Uchiha Fugaku with bloody eyes and Hyuga Heishi, the patriarch of the white-eyed Hyuga clan, both suppress his chakra, and it is difficult for his ninjutsu to have a substantial effect on them. It's better to solve those ninjas who are ready to pass water first, so that Crocodile can let go. It seems that the old man can only do it. Mr. Dai, please be careful. Glancing at Uchiha Fugaku who was already rushing towards him, Vice Admiral of Crane said to Might Dai, and his hand was instantly covered with armament haki. Humph. Seeing that an old woman dared to take the initiative to find him, Uchiha Fugaku snorted coldly, and quickly carried out a yin-yin 0. Fire style How Long Fire technique. Uchiha Fugaku took a deep breath, and then quickly spewed out 4 fire dragons. When one fire dragon appeared, they rushed toward the crane's position. Advertisement. Each fire dragon is 100 feet long and nearly 2 meters in diameter, as if to burn everything to ashes. Crane looked at the surging fire dragon, but did not dare to resist. His footsteps were linked, and he disappeared in place in an instant, and in an instant, he had come to the front of Uchiha Fugaku. Boom. 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 4 fire dragons slammed into the position of the crane just now, smashing the piece of earth and rock into a big pit, but because the crane had run far away, some of the splashed earth and rocks were also covered by the crane and blocked by Haki's fist, without hurting her in the slightest. This old woman is so fast. Uchiha Fugaku saw the crane suddenly appearing not far in front of him. His face changed, he avoided his footsteps, and jumped up in the air after flying, pointing his finger under his mouth at the same time. Fire style Fumshenwo technique. In an instant, dozens of flames like impatiens smashed diagonally downward. Moonwalk. The moment Crane saw Uchiha Fugaku move, he immediately jumped into the air, his figure flashed in the air, and he came to the top of Uchiha Fugaku within 1.3 breaths. Tempest kick. The crane will be in the air, and his right foot swirls sharply downward, and an arc-shaped round foot air blade quickly shoots out from the crane's right leg, cutting over in an instant. Here, a group of people, elite Chunin and special Jonin, found out that Orochimaru was on their own, and their expressions change. Everyone, be careful. Seeing Orochimaru's gloomy smile, those ninjas all knew Orochimaru's name, and one of them said in a deep voice. All the ninjas quickly dispersed, and the hand seals were also quickened. Want to disperse? Orochimaru saw the thoughts of those ninjas and sneered again. The array of 10,000 snakes, Chapter 174 Push the pressure cannon. Orochimaru was crawling on the ground, and countless long snakes spewed out instantly, forming a boiling sea of snakes, submerging hundreds of acres of housing in the blink of an eye. So many snakes. Seeing so many snakes appearing, a group of people felt their scalps tingle, followed by the horror on their right. I saw those long snakes spit out their blades one after another, and the gleaming silver light added a bit of terror to the sea of serpents. Water-style water dragon bomb technique. A ninja was ready for ninjutsu, and with a low voice, a water dragon nearly 100 meters long appeared in an instant, roared, rushed into the sea of serpents, and in the blink of an eye, smashed thousands of long snakes into pieces. Although there are a lot of long snakes, Orochimaru's seemingly endless sea of snakes is simply a drop in the bucket. The elite ninja's water dragon bomb missile did not stop the advance of the sea of snakes, but let him be in the snakes next moment, in the sea. No. The ninja screamed and wanted to jump away, but 05 was that many long snakes had wrapped around his legs, and the long blades in his mouth stabbed towards the ninja's legs, screaming, the ninja directly submerged by the sea of serpents, there is no sound. Seeing the tragic state of the ninja, the other ninjas dared not stay in place anymore, the sand was all covered with long snakes, and Crocodile and the others were also blocked by the long snakes. The long snakes drove away quickly. Damn it. At this moment, Hyuga Heishi saw that the ninjas he called were useless at all, and these guys didn't have chakra, and his white eyes didn't work, and his face suddenly sank as he watched constantly drawing his palms in the sand. Grabbing him, or Huang Sha slashing at his crocodile with a condensed blade, made him even more exhausted. Might die, what are you waiting for? Get help. The next moment, Hyuga Heishi suddenly noticed Might wearing behind him, made him stare, and asked loudly. Call someone for help? Call me, His Highness should send someone to support us soon? Might Dai was taken aback when he heard Hyuga Hieshi's words, and then continued. Your Highness. Damn it, what the hell are you doing? Advertisement. Hyuga Heishi heard the whole person a little confused, gritted his teeth, looked at Might Dai. He thought this guy was kidnapped, but he turned out to be a rebel. Patriarch Hyuga, how are you? This old woman is so difficult to deal with. Here, Uchiha Fugaku's voice came. I don't know why. Every time I attacked, I just made a move, but it didn't come out yet. The old woman seemed to be able to predict it in advance, and immediately dodge, letting his ninjutsu follow the attack. All keep falling apart. And just like Hyuga Heishi, this old woman doesn't have chakra, and she doesn't release ninjutsu. With that weird fist, legs that can kick out a kai blade, and fingers that can easily pierce through earth-style ninjutsu, he can observe the principle of use, but with his physical quality, he can't release any of them in a short period of time. Where did the world government get so many perverts? Seeing that the Crane Vice Admiral, who was already buried in the lowest to his chest, could still have such a strong physique, Uchiha Fugaku scolded secretly. Damn it. Hearing Uchiha Fugaku's words, Hyuga Hieshi's face sank again. He didn't expect that this group of people would be more difficult to deal with than he thought. Blind eyes. Quickly distanced himself from Crocodile, Hyuga Heishi looked back, and finally found that Jiraiya was rushing with a group of Konoha's masters, and his face finally eased a little. Everyone, hold on, Jiraiya came here in surprise. Hyuga Heishi immediately shouted towards the surroundings, and as soon as the voice fell, a black shadow descended from the sky. Coming. Konoha's ninjas felt the sudden appearance of the figure, and they were overjoyed and forgot about the past in excitement, but then their faces suddenly became extremely ugly. Everyone, be careful, it's a big robot like the world government, damn it, when did this guy come here? Seeing the huge figure clearly, Hyuga Hieshi's face suddenly became extremely ugly. They recognized that this was a big killer from the world government, and the portraits of pacifists have long been known to all countries. Fortunately, just one. Advertisement. After blocking Crocodile's sand spear with revolving heaven again, Hyuga Heishi was relieved to find that there was no second pacifist. Boy, let's capture it, Konoha's reinforcements have come, and you only have one robot, it's useless. Hyuga Heishi turned to Crocodile, sneered, and said loudly. Is it? Hearing Hyuga Hieshi's words, Crocodile also showed an intriguing smile after glancing at Neng's palm. He knew that this pacifist was different from other pacifists. Okay. Noticing Crocodile's smile, Hyuga 220 Heishi was a little puzzled, and subconsciously looked at PX0 again, and was taken aback for a moment. Enemies found. Start expelling. After PX came to 0, he first looked at Uchiha Fugaku and murmured, raising his right hand. Uchiha Fugaku immediately noticed that PX0 was staring at him, and his face changed suddenly, but the crane kept attacking him, which made him a little unable to get free, but then he found that the crane actually retreated, and he let it go. Immediately there was a chance for a breather. However, just as he stood up, he suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis coming from the side. Without the slightest hesitation, Uchiha Fugaku quickly made his way forward using the body flicker technique. Push the pressure cannon. At this time, the voice of PX-0 also came out, and then, the air in front of the hull of PX-0 began to compress sharply, and then exploded rapidly, and an invisible impact was instantly ejected. Boom! Uchiha Fugaku has just escaped, and the next moment, where he just stood, countless gaps have replaced the originally flat land. From the direction of PX-0, you can see that the gaps of rest are all pushed out by the patterns of the palms. Chapter 175 Who told you that I am afraid of water? Although Uchiha Fugaku knew that he was very dangerous at the moment, he still wanted to take a look behind him subconsciously. When he saw the damage caused by PX-0, his expression suddenly froze. At the same time, Hyuga Heishi also noticed the movement here and hurriedly looked over. Hey, what's going on? Didn't it say that only lasers were released? Why is it different from the one in the news? Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Heishi gasped at the same time, and countless question marks appeared in their hearts at the same time. A series of kunai is fired from a distance, swiftly at Crane, Crocodile, and pacifist PX-0. Crane stepped on moonwalk and flew to avoid the dozens of kunai, while Crocodile flipped his hand, and a sand wall appeared in an instant. The kunai fell into it and couldn't save it, and finally it was PX-0, and he didn't even look at it. Those Kuwu glanced, but then raised their hands. A translucent white pattern like a bear's paw appeared on the palm, and instantly said that those Kuwu bounced back. Ding ding ding, a series of metal collision sounds. Those kunai were blocked. Immediately afterwards, Jiraiya burst out of the forest, followed by the masters of the Uchiha family and the branch house powerhouses of the Hyuga family. Summoning summons technique. As soon as he came out, Jiraiya first released the summoning formation, and after a puff of smoke, a large earth-red toad quickly appeared under Jiraiya's feet. Orochimaru. The next moment, Jiraiya saw the figure of Orochimaru in the distance, gritted her teeth, and headed towards Orochimaru's sea of snakes with Toad Bunta. Fire-style Toad Oil Firebomb. Toad Wentai and Jiraiya sprayed Toad Oil and Fire-style Ninjutsu respectively. Jiraiya's Fire-style quickly ignited it to form a wave of fire like a surging sea, and instantly poured down towards the Sea of Snakes, instantly submerging the Sea of Snakes, and countless long snakes. Turned into fly ash in flames. You can't escape, please inform your highness and ask him to hand over the secrets of the world government, it will be a long time. Jiraiya cleaned up the Sea of Snakes and looked at Orochimaru behind the Sea of Snakes. Advertisement, so confident. Crocodile sneered, raised the sand, and was about to make a move when two waterfalls suddenly fell on both sides, submerging the sea of sand. So, your weakness is water, we already know that? Hyuga Heishi looked at Crocodile and said lightly. In their opinion, the crocodile can control the sand, and as long as they wet the sand, the crocodile can't do anything about it. Really? Who told you that I am afraid of water? Crocodile frowned, palms in the sand in front of him. Arost Samsara. Almost in an instant, all the water mixed in the sand was completely absorbed, and the sand was extremely dry again. What? How? In the blink of an eye, the moisture in the sand disappeared instantly, and the surrounding ninjas saw their eyes straight. What is even more bizarre is that the water flowing down from the two waterfalls disappeared instantly after touching the yellow sand, and there was no trace of water. How could this be? Are all the news we got false? Hyuga Heishi frowned and said with a dazed look. A group of people looked confused, but the pacifist PX-0 was not like this. He looked at Jiraiya on his own, and after determining the number and location of the enemy, he quickly opened his mouth. Super Burning Laser. The golden laser quickly shot out of PX-0's mouth. Wherever the laser swept, the ground exploded, and some of them didn't have time to escape, and the elite Chunin and the special Jonin, who were unfortunately involved in it, were wiped out on the spot. What? No one expected that PX-0 would attack suddenly. All the ninjas exclaimed and hurriedly avoided the continuous sweeping golden laser. It took 3 full back and forth before the laser disappeared. Advertisement however, those ninjas, at this moment, only the elites are still able to stand there. Brothers Hyuga Heishi and Hyuga Hizashi shouted at the same time. Chakra shot out from the palms of the two, just like the laser of PX-0. Chakra rays shot towards PX-0. In the eyes of everyone, the chakra laser directly hit the palm of PX-0, but without any pause, it was directly turned in the direction of Uchiha Fugaku, the head of the Uchiha clan. Patriarch, be careful. Seeing the chakra lasers of the two Hyuga brothers, all Konoha shinobi fans were surprised, and Uchiha Fugaku was also surprised. He had never seen the two brothers who let go of ninjutsu. In the blink of an eye, a group of elites in the clan died again. Brothers Hyuga Heishi and Hyuga Hizashi changed their expressions at the same time, shouted loudly, and held chakra in their palms. Is this guy an idiot? He actually wants to block it with his body? Looking at all this, Jiraiya really frowned, reminding him of Shiki before. That guy could easily split the sea, and even peel off the seawater in a certain area, without relying on chakra at all. This is an ability he has never heard of, and he suspects that there must be something special about this huge guy. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Seeing PX-0's actions, the surrounding ninjas all raised their brows, and their eyes flashed with joy. Damn it, 8 trigrams breaking the mountain. Facing the terrifying laser shock,
PX0 just raised his hands silently, blocking the attacking direction of the Hyuga brothers. The chakra ray hit the Jonin of the Uchiha clan, piercing it instantly, and then the body was shattered by the impact of the remaining power. That Uchiha Fugaku obviously didn't expect this, his eyes popped. Beside Uchiha Fugaku, a strong Jonin from the Uchiha clan shouted and pushed Fugaku out with all his strength. Lashin! On the way, the two lasers were like two galloping dragons, quickly merging. After the fusion, the diameter more than doubled, and even the speed increased sharply. What?